or if it actually does it.
Live on YouTube.
It says it?
Yep.
Sure does.
Nice. That's quick. See, that's what I'm saying. You just press it and it goes. That's wild. What up, my people? Man, powerful times right now. We're about to get it in. Y'all come on in this room. Let's make it happen. Real. Martin Kinney interview. 2020. Open your eye. I can see clearly now. What's up to the family out there? Y'all see us. We got the crew with us. D-Ray.
Peace,
up,
family. Peace, peace, peace.
Got Mook with us. What's going on, Mook? Mook's audio ain't working. That's all right. We got the guy Travis Majors with us, doing his thing. What's up, Trav?
Greetings.
Then we interviewing, once again, part 2, the magical spiritualist, Martin Kinney, man. What's up, Martin Kinney? Say hi to the people.
Hello, family. Hello. Good to be back. I'm looking forward to today's chat. Thank you for having me back.
Yes. And we're going to have our other god, Michael Bell, join us in 1 minute. He just texted me, joining us in 1 minute. Man, so Martin, we're going to get right into this thing. That last interview we did was live. Like, people really got touched by it and inspired and started going to see your work and, understanding more about themselves through your model, which was a big deal. And because at the end of the day, it all boils down to you. You know what I mean? You. So just understanding negative and positive and neutral beings and who you are as a being and how it all correlates to the time. That was magical in the sense for the family to gather that information and grow on to that. So we want to thank you for part 1, but we're doing part 2 right now. We're about to make this thing happen for real. My first question, Martin, can you explain just a little bit about what you see happening in this 2020 event and basically how you see it playing out?
Yeah, so I think we periodically have what we call cyclical shifts. So this is not actually, no, I don't think, I know. This has been written down, has been left by many cultures. Many ancient cultures have talked about these shifts. There are books that are now coming out showing that we've been through these changes or these shifts, what they call like a plasmic discharge. Some of them are calling it the mud flood conspiracies. Some of them are calling it resets or floods of some sort. So there is no doubt that the earth definitely goes through periodic cycles of change, not just consciously, but physically as well. So the conscious one is the one that we're all experiencing now. We can all see that there's a conscious awakening happening. There's a conscious movement happening. People are awakening, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So that is one that we can see that is already taking effect now, which I think pretty much really began around about 2012, I think, with the internet. I think that's when the conscious awakening collectively, I know some people began to awaken a bit earlier, but I think the collective one began around about 2012. But it's all heading for a climax. It's like a sine wave, right? We live in a sine wave. If we get into the science of it, we live in a sine wave paradigm. Everything is governed by the sine, which is where we get the word sin from in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So the sine wave basically is almost like, when someone's on I'm sure you all know what a sine wave is. So the sine wave begins at the dip at the bottom and slowly works its way up to the top, to the crest. And at the crest, when it reaches the crest, what does it do? It starts to fall again, come back down. So it goes up and down like a wave. Mm-hmm. So this conscious awakening that began, I think was the trough, the bottom of that sine wave. And we've slowly been climbing up this this sine wave, where we're going to reach the crest, the pinnacle, and this pinnacle is what's going to trigger the physical shift. So as above, so below, as within, so without. If there's a conscious shift that is tangible and that is happening, then quite obviously there's going to be a physical one that will be tangible and that will happen. So this is just basic deduction, really. You don't need to be a genius to sort of put the two together. The question now, I think, for most people is, what is this shift that's coming? Which is your question. So obviously, there are a lot of interpretations on the internet on what is coming or when it's coming. I think most people are sort of now in agreement that it's coming soon. So anytime from September this year, as in 2 months' time, up to around about 2025. So whether you're a Christian, the Christians are talking about the 3 days of darkness and the return of Christ. UFO people are talking about planetary Nibiru returning. You know, people in the spiritual or conscious community are talking about the event. So again, it's in our collective consciousness that we're all expecting something to happen physically. So my interpretation, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a, well, if you follow my model, I believe that we live within a toroidal universe. So we're inside a toroidal field. Our universe is a toroidal field. And our plane, the plane of the Earth, is divided into different concentric toroidal realms, if you like, which is something we touched on the last video, I think. So I think what's going to happen is these plasmic toroidal fields are going to line up and open, if you like. So the moment everything is closed off, hence why all the ancient aliens, if you like, or not aliens, ancient extraterrestrials that are spoken of in all the ancient texts, the Nephilim, the Anunnaki, Quetzalcoatl, Nomu, all these extraterrestrials that once visited us, the Mahabharata is full of it as well. The reason why they've not been coming to visit us is because we've been sealed inside this realm, inside this dome, by our own plasmic electromagnetic field. And again, these ancient cultures all said we will return one day. When they left, they all said we will return one day. I think that return will happen in some capacity in 2020 when these toroidal fields open up. So in a nutshell, that is basically what I think the event is. However, I don't think it is as clear cut as that. I don't think it's just this event that's going to happen. We're all going to see it and everything's going to change and, you know, it's all going to be hunky-dory. Everyone will know the truth. Absolutely not. Right. I think the powers that think they are, or the powers that are in control at the moment, they are doing their level best to try and hide this beautiful cosmic event that is about to happen. This is something we should all be celebrating. If we were all consciously fully awake, we'd all be celebrating this and saying, wow, the season's about to change. You know, like how we celebrate Easter and Christmas and all the other, and Kwame, these different changes of season. But this one is a cosmic one. This one is for the entire universe. So we should all be celebrating this and, you know, getting ready to party. Unfortunately, because of the age that we're in, we do not know what's happening. The powers that be do not want us to know what's happening, because once we know what's happening, it will raise a lot of questions, and those questions will lead to even more unraveling and revelation and liberation for the people, which is what they don't want, obviously. They want to keep control of this paradigm.
Right.
So what they're going to do is they're going to, so when people ask me about the event, I say, well, the event is many things. It is not one particular thing. So there is the cosmic event, which is the natural one that's going to happen, but there are going to be simultaneously inorganic events instigated by, again, these so-called powers that be. I think this is what 5G is in preparation for. I think this is what chemtrails have been priming us for. You know, the fact that we've been poisoned with food, poisoning our avatars, our bodies, is because they don't want us to reap the full rewards of this celestial change, this change of season, which is supposed to bring good tidings, gifts from the universe. But if our avatars are poisoned, we will not be able to receive this presence. and we'll miss out basically. So yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to break down what I think or how I see things playing out, or?
Well, yeah, you can break down the physical aspect of it, because my next question was going to be, with the whole like 2012 thing that happened, and like that scare, and then the whole 2000 thing. And we kind of understood those were kind of times of consciousness rising a little bit, but you actually see it as a physical event, something actually taken into the physical, and everybody, the world can see this physical event happening, basically.
Yeah, so I think it's both. I think it's both a conscious and an unconscious one, a physical and a metaphysical one, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So again, everything's always reflected, as above, so below, as within, so without. Always, always, always. That is a cosmic rule. So yes, there is definitely this conscious one, like I said, but the physical one as well, which I think we can see already. We're already starting to see these signs. Strange things happening with the weather, strange things happening with animals. I won't go into details, but certainly there are telltale signs that things are not the way they used to be, and certainly increasingly changing as well. Even our political landscape, our financial landscape, our social landscape, everything is changing rapidly. If we told someone in the year 2000 or 1999 that the world would be where it is today, in terms of our finance, in terms of our social structure, political, all these things, people would have said you're crazy. There's no way the world would be like that in 20 years' time. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, here we are. So yeah, definitely a physical change. So what do I think these changes are? Again, this is my hypothesis. I'm not preaching. I'm not saying this is fact. This is how I'm deducing and connecting the dots and what I think is going to happen.
Right.
So I think what's going to happen is, I'm not sure anymore. I thought initially it would be December 21st, 2020. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting new information that it might actually be December 21st, 2019, as in this year, that this might all happen. Either or, I don't think it really matters. I think what matters is I think something is coming. So I think what's going to happen is definitely on December the 21st. That is the only time that this can happen, during a solstice, and also June the 21st as well, during the Northern Hemisphere's summer solstice. This is when these events are going to happen. So a smaller one will happen June 21st, and that's to do with the North Polar Dome, if you like. So the North Pole, like I've been saying, there is a realm there, what we call Hyperborea or Eden or Shambhala, whatever you want to call it. And this realm at the moment is covered by an electromagnetic plasmic field, or a dome, what we see as the Aurora Borealis. And this dome will open up, I think, in June 1st during the summer solstice, because it's in the north. And when this happens, when this dome opens, there will be, certain celestial things that might happen. I can't say for sure, but I'm sure we'll feel the effects of that. However, I don't think this will be the grand one. This will be a small one that could easily be hidden, because it's the dome at the center. So all you need to do is create a bit of disruption in the Northern Hemisphere. The people in the Southern Hemisphere wouldn't really see or feel it that much. But certainly if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you'd see physically the changes. So I'm willing to bet June next year, they will heavily chemtrail the Northern Hemisphere, which they have been already. But next year, it's going to be worse, much, much worse. And I think the reason why they're chemtrailing the skies is they want to hide this celestial event. Because effectively what will happen is when these domes open up, they will reveal the heavens, which all the ancient cultures spoke about when they said there was a time when all the stars fell from the sky, or it looked as if the stars were falling from the sky. In other words, it looked as if the planets and the stars were so close to Earth. They were so clear. At the moment, we can't see them because they're covered by our plasmic electromagnetic field. So if you take your camera, it looks like stars are in water, they're shimmering. if you take a P900 camera, you zoom into the stars and planets, that water is the plasmic field that we're looking at them from. So if you drop that plasmic field, all of a sudden you will see everything in its full glory. So I think they'll want to hide this, because if everyone saw this, then questions would arise. What is going on? All of a sudden, the whole heliocentric model, the spinning ball Earth model, would be in question, because they would have to try and find answers to justify what's just happened. So I think they're going to try and hide it, first of all. I think there'll be a lot of disruption as well. The big one in December, I think that's the big one, because that's the dome above our heads. That's the one actually cocooning this realm. So when that one opens, that's the one where we'll see all the stars. And that's when they will really, that's the big hoaxes. I think there'll be a fake alien invasion. I think there might be some sort of a natural disaster, a world natural disaster that they'll blame on global warming. So they'll say, this is because of global warming. There's this flood has happened on Earth, or this, whatever it is, big earthquake that affected every continent on Earth, whatever it is because of global warming. If they do a fake alien invasion, that will do two things. That will solidify the globe Earth paradigm. So people will buy even further into the globe, say, well, see, the Earth is definitely a globe. We've seen aliens or UFOs. We all saw them on TV. So you flat earthers are all crazy, because you all say space doesn't exist, which is what most flat earthers say. Mm-hmm. So that will kill, I think, the flat earth debate, and keep propagating the globe earth debate. Mm-hmm. Same thing with global warming. They want to use global warming to enforce the new world order, to control people even more, to take people's liberties and rights away even more. So when they set off this hoax weather event, they will say, well, you see, this is proof that global warming is real. When we all know, those of us who are awake enough and done enough research, we know that they're manipulating the weather even now. Even NASA's admitted to having rain-making machines. They have videos out there where they can manipulate rain and all sorts of things. So they're going to do all these things. They might, it might be a fake war, maybe. They've been talking about Iran and Russia and America and all this tension. So they might drop a few bombs and say, well, we're on the verge of World War IV or whatever it is, World War III, sorry, and just scare people. And I think all of that is just distracting people from the main event, from the real event that's happening. And if people are too busy looking down here on Earth and focusing on the physical and trying to survive, they will miss the celestial, heavenly, real gift that we're meant to be receiving, in a nutshell.
Nice. Yeah. And so with the temporal fields, everything aligning up, and we'll, in I guess about 2020, probably June 2020, somewhere in the middle, will we be able to cross over to these other temporal fields? I remember one of your videos you was saying we was able to cross over to each temporal field during this event, during this probably 3 to 5 day event.
Yes. So I believe this is the window. These are the portals spoken of in the book of Enoch, where angels or angles of light are able to transverse between the heavens and the earth. So we are the angels. We are the angles of light. An angel is basically an angle of light, and we are angles of light. Why do I say that? Because we are made up of something called plasma. Our bodies are made up of 55% plasma. And plasma is the most abundant substance in the universe. Even NASA says this, mainstream science says this. And so if we're plasmic beings, what is plasma? Plasma is a gas. It's a type of gas. And and this gas is, I'm going to speak about this in a hangout that I'm doing tonight, actually, on my channel. I'll go into depth with it, but I'll just touch on it now. So we have something called a spirit within us, and this spirit is a frequency. It's an electromagnetic frequency. That is the real us. So this frequency obviously does not have a shape or a size or a color. It is just etherical. It's like air. It's nothing. It's got nothing in it. You can't see it. It can only be detected by something called the wave amplitude. So there's a wave amplitude, and that wave amplitude is how you pick up frequencies. So our souls, not our souls, our real selves, we are frequency based. That is what God is. God is a frequency, and everything is a frequency. Now, this frequency, when it's in the heavens, in order for it to interact with the universe, it must attach itself to something, obviously, to something tangible and physical. Now, the only substance that a frequency can merge with is something called this plasma. Plasma is like the universal glue. It's like the glue that holds everything together. It's the bridge between the heavens and the earth, what the ancient Nordics called the Bifrost Bridge, if you like. So that's what plasma is. So the stars are plasma. Our consciousness first goes into the stars, into the star systems. This is our first manifestation of being. We are first stars. This is when we are superstars. And when we're in the heavens, we're in these star systems, if you like, and you can actually tell what star system you're from by your birthday. Yeah, your birthday is your portal. So if you're born, I was born in July, I'm a Cancer. So my star system is Cancerian. That's where my plasmic field is from, if you like. And when we're in that state, the next stage obviously is to try and get down to earth to experience life, to learn, to expand. And the only way to do that is through the solar system. So the solar system is the soul lure system. It lures your soul. I'll talk about what a soul is. So your spirit, your frequency becomes a spirit when you merge with a star. That is what a spirit is. And that is what spiritualism is. Spiritualism simply means that you are connected to the spiritual realms, and the spiritual realms are the star systems, the plasmic star systems. Mm-hmm. So your spirit goes through the solar system, the portals within the solar system, to try and merge with physical matter here on Earth, what we call incarnation. And of course, like I said, on Earth, you need a glue or a plasmic field to attach your star, if you like, your spirit to this Earth. And that is what we now we call becoming souled. Like the soles of your feet keep you grounded. That's when you become a soul. So when you're on Earth, your spirit is now called a soul because you are souled, you are grounded. You are now a rock star. The rock, of course, being your body that is holding in your star, I suppose, your plasmic field. Now, in our body, like I said, we've got 55% plasma. It's made up of mostly plasma. Our bodies are mainly plasma. And this plasma is manifest through blood. So they'll tell you that all your plasma can be found in your blood and your urine, or your liquids rather, within your body. Mm-hmm. So your spirit or your star incarnates into the womb of a mother when she is expecting, if you like, and it is manifest in the form of blood or plasma, or the plasma first becomes blood, and that plasma or that blood plasma is then what controls your physical body. So there are three things going on here. What I call Martin Kenny, my body is Martin Kenny. This body, this physical body that I call my physical body, is housing something called blood. This blood is housing something called plasma. This plasma is what we call our light bodies. This is your light body. This is the Holy Ghost. This is where we get the word ghost from. Ghost means gas, basically. And like I said, plasma, and science says, plasma is simply gas. It's the gaseous state. So this is the Holy Ghost within you. Mm-hmm. And of course, within that Holy Ghost, within that plasmic field is what's holding your spirit, your essence, your consciousness, your frequency. So again, as above, so below, I've just explained the cosmic universe within ourselves. Our universe is modeled on the same principle, right? So these domes that we're calling these toroidal fields, these are like the plasma body in our blood, if you like, right? Mm-hmm. The solar system is the blood that carries information. Again, blood in our bodies carries information. That's the duty of blood. It's there to carry DNA and information within our being.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it carries information. So the solar systems do exactly the same thing. The sun, the moon, Mercury, Mars, they carry information. And so when these toroidal fields open up, we also need to prepare our physical bodies to also be able to receive these frequencies coming from the solar system, right? And when we receive, or if we're prepared and we're able to receive these frequencies, an alchemical process happens, which is what all the ancient cultures talked about when they talked about alchemy and magic. And alchemy is basically the process of separating lead from gold. So what is this separating lead from gold? Everyone thought it was physical lead and physical gold. It's not. Lead is your body, your physical body, and gold is in reference to monatomic gold. Monatomic gold is simply plasma. You see where this is going?
Right.
Right? So that's just simply plasma. So this alchemical process of transforming lead to gold is the process of freeing your plasmic body from your physical body at will, without dying, without your consciousness leaving the plasmic body. Because now, if I died now, my consciousness, my spirit, would leave my physical body and my plasmic body, my light body, and return to the heavens, and I'd go through that whole process of reincarnation, etc., etc. I'd have to find a new plasmic body, a new physical body, which is what reincarnation is.
Right.
So I'm saying in 2020, or whenever this event happens, we will be able to bypass that whole process for those who are ready. And this is what ascension is. Ascension is basically the process of us dying, but not dying in the form of D-I-E, dying as in the form of D-I, as in diffusion, distillation, dielectrification, dipolar. This is where you get that die from in all these words. Difference, difference. So this is the real dying that we need to be doing. And it's basically shedding the physical body and metamorphosizing into the spiritual body, or into the plasmic body rather, which is within us. So I think when this event happens, those who are prepared for it will ascend or rapture themselves out of their physical bodies into their light bodies. And at this point, you become like an angel, if you like, or a ghost, if you like.
Right.
And I think this is how we'll be able to transverse into other realms or other domains over those few days.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Yeah. That's man, I'm still lost for words. That's good. Man, when you say it all like that and you break it down like that, it kind of lines into something else I was thinking about. So what about our other beings, our other selves in these other primordial fields? Do we just all become one in that essence? If we,
yes,
in that day, in that rapture day, whatever them 3 days is or whatever, in that time, does our other side say, okay, we're just going to do this together? You see what I mean?
Yeah, I certainly think there's a reciprocation happening there. So for those who are listening in for the first time, according to this model that I propose, or that has been proposed, in the 4 different realms of the earth, I propose that there are versions of ourselves, what we might call doppelgangers, if you like, clones, if you like. So there is a split version of yourself in every realm. And obviously your original self is the Polarian at the center in Mount Meru, Mount Zion, Mount Olympus. This is your original plasmic self. So right now, my plasmic self within me is a split, if you like. It's a fractal of the original me at the center. So there's a whole process there, which is something we can talk about maybe later or another time. But yeah, so your question is very valid. I think 2 fractals or clones cannot be in the same space at the same time.
Right.
2 natural fractals. So I think there are versions if I'm to ascend or descend.
Mm-hmm.
Descending meaning going outwards to the outer realms, ascending meaning going inwards to the inner realms. If I'm to ascend, then the inner me must descend to this outer world, and vice versa. So yes, I think there's an exchange of energy happening there. I've not yet fully figured out the how that might work out. I think possibly um, I'm starting to feel as if maybe what happens is when my plasmic self, my solar self, my inner self,
Mm-hmm.
leave this physical body as a ghost, if you like, or as an angel, um, um, it has to enter possibly maybe a new body in this inner realm.
Right.
And this new body is possibly the body that my inner self is inhabiting right now. So there might be an exchange of bodies, as crazy as that sounds, body snatches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm starting to think that maybe when my spiritual self leaves this body, it will enter my doppelganger body in the North Pole, similar to what happened in Avatar, right? You know, in Avatar, he's got
Right.
his blue body and he's got his human body. Same
Right.
thing,
They
same
kind of
concept.
showed that in the. They kind of showed that in the movie, the one with Jet. I think it was Jet Li or one of them,
Yes,
and
yes.
where he, he trans he went to the earth realm and blah blah blah. So yeah, that was just something that stuck out to me. But let me get my family on here. But that's powerful, Martin. And I know the family got more questions. Let me dive into the fam. Um, I know Mike just joined us. What's up, Mike? But let's let our goddess Mook, little goddess Mook, go ahead and drop this light bomb. Go ahead, Mook, and tell us your question.
It was a lot of I just get a lot of like downloads as he's like talking and stuff, so I'm like thinking about it. But I
Yeah.
have and a question kind of similar to like some things that you pointed out too, Dream. But I remember during my first one of my earlier awakenings during 2012 where we thought like all this was happening. And
Mhm.
so there was a lot spiritually before I could recognize the higher self or the other multidimensional versions of myself pulling at me to do research and pulling at me in the direction I needed to go of the information I needed at that time. So during the time where we thought like, oh, it's about to be this big thing, there might be 3 days of darkness, kind of similar to what we're thinking is happening now.
Mhm.
I remember that was my first experience of my gifts coming online. It was the first time I ever had all of my like psychic abilities like tapped into at one time. I could see, I could feel, I could talk to spirits. I feel like now where we've been going through like all these stages since then of like gathering that information, like all of us who have been in alignment with the divine assignment, we've all like over these past few years getting our base gifts, uh it'll be them 2020, um
Hold on, somebody.
like dimensional self
Wait.
pulling once again, and the multidimensional self showing me the synchronicities. So I have been getting a lot of like 12-12 synchronicities. I was seeing that a lot and I couldn't understand it, but I'm like, what was 12-12? For me, that was like probably the actual day, almost like to the day of when this happened. 2012, it was December, probably between December 12th and December 20th, because I know I was home from winter break when the actual like experiences started happening. And I'm like, let me look this up. And I could hear my multidimensional self telling me, you have something you need to do. And I remember going home from school like, okay, what is it that I need to do? I'm going to do it, and I just remember like hurry up, like feeling like I need to hurry up and do something, not knowing that everything had already started. And I'm looking for it like, well, what is it, and then
Right.
the psychic gifts come online. So my question is, the multidimensional part of ourselves, do you think, what is your perceptionally, how will we perceive and does our multidimensional self give us the inclination on what we need to do next? Because a lot of people will get themselves caught up in like, well, what do I need to do? You know, or how do I prepare, versus knowing that when you are connected to that higher self, which is the multidimensional body, how I see it, you're always being guided already. Like your spirit knows what your next move is or what you need to do to prepare to get to, you know, if it is the, you know, next timeline or the take a jump through a realm or whatever the case may be, your higher self is going to prepare you for that. So how do you see that happening, you know, perceptionally for us? How will we perceive it? And is the higher self is our multidimensional self going to drop clues and give us direction on the next steps of our ascension, descension, whatever?
Yeah, that's a fantastic, great, and thank you for sharing that. Very powerful testimony there. And that's a really, really, really good question. So I'm just gonna digress and just go back to my original statement about how I see this ascension happening. So once again, there isn't a one size fits all. This ascension is not one event that's going to happen the same for every single person, right? So there are many different alchemical processes that we can go through. This is what alchemy is. So there isn't one way to turn lead into gold. There are many ways to do it. So the one that I just explained is one way, and I explained that one because that is the way that I want to do it. That is the way that I'm feeling drawn to do it myself. Now, in essence, all it is, if you want to ascend from one realm to another, all you've got to do is you have got to strip away the physical, right? You've got to awaken the spiritual, the inner, and that ascensional process will begin automatically. So you're very right in what you're saying, that there are some people that have awoken but don't know if they need to be doing something specifically, or if they're doing the right thing specifically. And the answer is yes, you'll always be drawn to do what you're meant to be doing. For instance, I think there are some who are going to ascend by having to die physically. So their physical body and their plasmic body will have to die. And they will reincarnate as a new being in this inner realm, if you like. They will be born again, literally, physically, as a new being, instead of reincarnating back in this realm. So again, this will happen if your plasmic body is completely destroyed, because your plasmic body has got a DNA code. So if that DNA code is not compatible with the plasmic energy of this event, then you will not be able to obviously ascend your plasmic body. You'll have to leave that behind as well. So it's just your spirit. Your spirit will leave your plasmic body, and it will have to go through the whole incarnation process, and you'll reincarnate in the center. There are others like myself who want to do it the midway point, which is I will shed my physical body, but I will ascend with my plasmic body, my ghost body, if you like. That body is the one that will leave this realm with my spirit in it, if you like. So as an angel, if you like. And then there are those who are going even further and distilling their bodies and de-electrifying their bodies to a degree that they might even be able to walk out of this realm with their physical bodies and plasmic bodies, literally, as they are, as we are right now. They were able to physically walk into this new realm in whatever way, shape, or form. So again, it's not a one size fits all, and it's not something that I think we should be worrying about. If you know, we shouldn't put pressure on ourselves or on each other to say, oh, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. Absolutely not. You just need to be doing what you're called to do, what you feel you need to be doing. Your higher self, your inner self, your Polarian self, your other selves, all your elves, your S elves, your sine wave elves will tell you what's best for you at this point in time.
Yep, facts.
Nice.
Come on,
Let
Mike.
me say something. Hold on, babe.
You got to raise your hand, nigga. You better recognize
Really?
we're in this thing.
I don't know if anybody else has like thought about this, but all I think about as we're having this conversation is our children. Like a lot of us are parents, right? Like all of us on here are parents at this point in time. And Dream and I, we watched a movie the other day called Left Behind. and it was kind of showing
Which one was that, babe? Hold on. That was
I'm about to say it. I'm about to tell you which one it was.
Don't tell people we watched that, babe.
Yes, we did, y'all. We watched a movie called Left Behind. We were just trying to watch something good.
Oh my
So we
God.
thought, but it really wasn't that good. And in the movie, Martin Kinney, people just disappeared, right? It was like the apocalypse had happened in the Christian sense, meaning all children and people who were believers disappeared. They just vanished right up out of their clothes. And before I actually came into the actual science of spirituality, actually, it's funny enough, it was around the same 2012 time too. So we were all definitely going through these transformations, though I didn't realize it at the time. But at that time, I had a dream of ascending, but it was in the Christian motif type way. Some of y'all know what I mean. Y'all seen it before, to where people just start floating up into the air like that. That's the kind of dream that I had around that same time, because I vividly remember being home from college and seeing that. So I just want to know, and everybody can chime in on this, but I just want to know, Martin Kinney, in your perspective, what happens to our children at this space and time, right? These little innocent beings, of course, they all have, our children have their callings, they have their paths and things of that nature. But if we decided to ascend and leave this form, will another aspect of ourselves stay here and be nurturing and mothering and parenting our kids, because we are multidimensional, because we are in many planes? Like, how does that work? Because I'm a mother, and I just want to know, when it's time to go, what are we doing with the babies? What's happening with the babes, in your opinion?
Yes. Yeah, so my opinion to that, of course, I've got two children as well, two young children. So there are two things. The first thing I'm gonna point out is a word that you used, the innocent.
What's up, bud? Yes.
Right? You mentioned that these children are innocent beings. So that word implies that they are pure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's very little there's very little of an alchemical process that they need to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Or less so, should I say. Again, this is why they are so keen on poisoning our children with vaccines and all these different poisonous foods, because they're trying to destroy, the light body of our children. So, children by nature are pure. Their light body replenishes itself much quicker than an adult, obviously for obvious reasons. Our duty as parents, I think, well, in most cases, your children will mirror your path because they're under your guidance. So my children eat what I eat. My children go where I go. My children absorb what I absorb, directly or indirectly. So by default, they're on the same journey as me. They're on the same path as me by default. So whatever happens to me, I'm pretty sure my children are on the same path as me as well, for that reason. I could be wrong, but I feel quite strongly about that. We're plant-based. My children are plant-based. We stay away from things like vaccinations and medication and anything pharmaceutical, so that we try and keep our plasmic bodies as pure as possible. So I do that, and I do that for my children as well. So again, like I'm saying, I think that's not something to worry too much about. I think our children will always mirror our path because they're under our guidance. However, you said something that I never thought about before, but kind of makes sense. If our doppelganger, so to speak, our other self, is to enter this body over here as a new Martin, if you like, then obviously, or possibly, this Martin paradigm must continue. Martin will still be alive, technically, but just a different Martin this time, if you like.
Right.
And yeah, so possibly if my children are not coming with me, then yeah, they might end up being raised by another version of me that is not really me, but is kind of me. So that's a good point.
Yes. That happened in Us. If y'all watched that movie, the doppelganger was raising the children.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
I need to watch that. What's it called? Us?
Yes, Us. Right.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Martin King, you seen Us, man? Don't play. You ain't seen Us?
No, I haven't. Is it a old movie or?
No, it just came out like 2018, I think. Was that
Oh
2000?
wow.
That was this year, ding dong.
Oh man, I don't know. Time is an illusion. You know, I shit. You know, that's all.
I'm definitely gonna look it up and watch it for sure now. Now that you've said that.
Yeah,
Definitely, because it definitely talks about, it's definitely about the doppelganger, or you could even say like your shadow self. It also displays there being other dimensions, lower realms, with an identical version of us operating on that realm, and ourselves above ground affecting those below. So,
Wow. Brilliant. Brilliant. I'm on that. Thank you.
yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. Bring that heat. Bring that fire real quick.
I got a couple quick questions, but I wanted to respond to Mook. Your question actually was answered for me a couple years ago. Real quick, I'm gonna use Bobby Hemmett as a reference in terms of ascension and your doppelganger taking over. When Bobby Hemmett got sick about a couple years ago, I had a series of dreams. I'm gonna say at least for a week. I would go to sleep and I would see this dude and he was funny but he was real young. I recognized the voice but not the face. Well, I realized it was Bobby Hemmett, and I went through a series of dreams like he was in his past self. He was very young. I'm gonna say 18, 19, and I just recognized the voice. But what I realized was because Bobby Hemmett was so influential, what I realized was Bobby actually made the transition. But there was a version of him still here. I reconciled that with the fact that because of his influence, if Bobby had left, I'll be honest, if he had just died and left, a whole bunch of people would have just said, I'm going back to church and praise Jesus, and they would have lost faith. So that helped me. The more I thought about it, I realized that, in Egypt, they have the Eye of Horus, and it's broken down into 70 seconds, 1 72nd, 16, 70 seconds. It's broken down like that. Well, I actually believe in terms of what Martin is saying is that if we were to physically switch, a portion of us would be here. Your kids would be all right. My kids would be all right. They'd be raised by just like if you see Bobby now, if you listen to him speak, it's not really Bobby, but it's him.
Right.
So that's how I reconciled that for myself, because you can tell that he made the transition. To be honest, most nights when I go to sleep or if I meditate, I've had sessions with Bobby in the astral where he's explained pillars to me and he's broken down all kind of things to me. So I understand that aspect. So when Martin brought that up, I totally understand how we can switch with our doppelganger. And if you were to make the transition where you were physically no longer here, our kids, they made that decision to be here. And they might not recall all the obstacles, but they knew it would be obstacles, and they'll be all right, especially your kids, because I don't know their ages, but 0 to 7, our kids get all the programming they're going to need for the rest of their life. 0 to 7.
Yeah.
So you figure if they're at that mark, even if they're below the mark of 0 to 7, you've laid the foundation, and that's how I feel. My kids, I have a 13-year-old who's special needs, and he just stepped out here right now and asked me a question. But I know for a fact that he's lived several lives, and he's came here to teach me a lesson about patience. And I know that if I was to make the transition if I was to drop right now, I have faith in my kids, they'll be all right. I was watching one of Brother Panic's videos about Baphomet, and my daughter walked up on the laptop. So I paused it. I didn't want to scare her. I had the big Baphomet on the screen. And I paused it and said, hey, can I help you? And she stopped her question and said, oh, you like him too? She said, she's talking about Baphomet. I got Baphomet on the screen. She said, you like him too, Daddy? She said, he's funny, but he never sits still for me. And I was just like, wow. And I didn't question her no further. I wanted to ask a bunch of where do you know this from? But the point I want to make is our kids, like Martin said, they chose us as parents to mirror our existence and to push. Actually, they're going to, if you were to leave right now, they're going to push your envelope even further. They'll probably exceed the envelope.
Yep.
So I would just say that to say, have no fear. You laid your tracks. Because I feel the exact same way. I laid my tracks. Me and my kids, I had Judica Illis's book of spirits, and we used to every night I would let my kids pick a spirit, deity, and we would just talk about it. My daughter put me up on Ganesha, and at the time, this was about 2-3 years ago, so she was maybe 7, and we were going through the book, and she was like, "Daddy, Ganesha's here right now." And she pointed out to me, she had elephants on her shirt, and there was an elephant over here. And every time we were going somewhere, she would say, "There's Ganesha." And the only difference she had was she told me Ganesha's not a boy, he's a girl, Daddy. And I know I can rock with that. So I just wanted to add to that in terms of the doppelganger. It makes perfect sense to me because I've lived several lifetimes doing this lifetime. I'm not the same. Hey, buddy, you want to sit down?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Brother Panic and Masterly Foolish for because Masterly had cut out a little excerpt when Panic was dropping on Bobby had transitioned and made that ascension, but his physical body is still here. I think people took it the wrong way. The humans definitely took it the wrong way. So, but I already knew what Masterly was trying to say and portray, but people were looking at it like he had passed on and he's gone and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Shout out to him on that. But yeah, Bobby is the ultimate aesthetic in this thing. When you look at Bobby, you can see nothing but a spiritual being. He came here for a purpose to do his thing, and he accomplished that. He would never speak until the video was recording. Once the video was recording, he spoke, and then once it was over, he got off of that thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just a pure genius. Never seen nothing like him. Open up your heart chakra and give you this knowledge at the same time. It's just masterful who he is as a being. And we got to show him that love, even though we know he's not here, but we just show him that love in just so many ways. Like I got
have a seat,
pictures of Bobby everywhere. So it's amazing. Yeah. Keep going, Mike, though. I didn't want to lose that point.
No, I just want to say I'm directing this to Martin. Something he said earlier when I first logged in about in terms of political events and maybe a fake event. What I wanted to say was he had mentioned that the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, they want our attention down here on Earth, so we miss these celestial events. And I know that the Kabbalion speaks on vibration. So I know that with where you vibe at, your vibe attracts your tribe, basically. So I want to ask more or less. I always want to get my thoughts in alignment. By keeping us distracted, is that what's going to keep us from missing the event? Because if we're vibing on a low level, we might miss a celestial event. And I also want to say that everything Martin is saying about the plasma, it lines up with what a lot of other spiritualists are saying right now. I can say for a fact, the Rogue Titan, he's talking about Shannon Jeffries. He has a YouTube channel, the Rogue Titan, and he's talking about progressing beyond the astral and going to the hyperverse. And you hear all these references to actually going beyond what is known. And so I don't know if it's a question or if you can help me clarify my thoughts, but I really feel like a lot of these distractions, even with the chemtrails and all, like you said, the fake alien invasion, I think a lot of that is just to lower most people's vibration. And I think the movie Interstellar was a good movie. And said that what happened to the human race? He said we used to look up at the stars and wonder. Now we just look at the dirt. And I look at all these references and they tie in for me because we're so keen on electromagnetism and magnetism and things like that when it's really about plasma bodies. We have plasma in our systems. So what I just wanted to say real quick, and Martin, I'm hoping you can help me get my thoughts to line up with my words, is that are these distractions that, I mean, we know that they're designed to distract, but with these upcoming events, is it to make sure that our vibration is at a point to where we miss these cosmic events? Because I can say for myself, 2012, I was woke, but I wasn't on that level. I was still looking for physical events. When the event happened out here in America with in Missouri with Mike Brown, that was the first time I felt energy build up and nothing happened on the physical. And that's when I realized, oh, none of this stuff, if you're looking for it to happen here on earth, you're only going to see it in terms of human consciousness and human understanding. Oh, a black man was killed, an officer did this, but there were events happening spiritually that were mirrored down here. But if you were stuck down here, you just saw a black dude was killed by the police, and it was people, this and that. So my basic question is that when this window opens up, when this portal opens up, how key is it that our vibration is tuned in? Because for me, my dreams, my meditations, my astral projections, they've all been hyper lucid. I mean, when I say hyper, it's just like it's just off the hook. But that's essentially it. It's not so much a question. I'm just asking for clarification because you mentioned some things that resonated with me, and I'm hoping that you can just not to bring the conversation back, but just to shed some more light in terms of these distractions, whether it's an alien invasion, another war, anything to keep us from looking up at the stars.
Yeah, Mike, you put that really, really well. Very, very eloquently put. Thank you for that. And I actually got a lot from what you were saying there. So there were a lot of personal nuggets that I needed to hear from you there. So thank you for that. You're absolutely right. Everything is always mirrored. I've now reached the stage where I'm able to tell straight away. If I see on my news feed a headline story, depending on how big that headline story, I know something has happened cosmically as well, spiritually. So I know that they have released the story. When that Epstein story came out, straight away I knew, whoa, what's happened this week cosmically? What's happening with the sun? What's happening with the moon? What's happening with the stars? What energies am I feeling? What's going on spiritually? Because the reason why they've released this information now is because they want to distract people from picking up the real energy we're meant to be picking up. So what you said is so true. The warfare that's happening now is a spiritual warfare. It is not a physical war, it's a spiritual one. And everything is there to distract us, to distract our spiritual growth by giving us physical false paradigms. So all these things, the worse they get, the more they're talking about a financial crash, the more they're talking about war with Iran or tensions rising. You should know those are indicators or signs that they are fighting back, if you like, or panicking, because they know what's going on. Wherever they are, they're not stupid. They know exactly how all this works. They know what's going on. They can't change it. They can't destroy it. But all they can do is distract us from getting to where we should be getting to, or want to be getting to. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The whole trick of all of this, which is not really a trick, it is. The secret is to turn that shit off, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it affects you, turn it off. Don't pay any attention to it. Revel in the mystery of the universe. Instead of watching the news, watch the skies, watch the sun, watch the moon, watch yourself. Look at yourself. Sit by a river. Look at yourself in the water. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at the trees. Watch an animal. Go out in nature and ground yourself. And when you do this, what you're doing is you are de-electrifying yourself, your plasmic self, and you're also distilling your plasmic self. Remember, your plasmic self is in the form of blood. Blood is liquid. Liquid carries information or memory. Information or water. Water can be manipulated through cymatics, right? We all know this. So if your plasmic body is in liquid form inside your physical body, if you're watching negative things, those negative things are cymatically altering your plasmic field.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Your paradigm is getting morphed into that, whatever it is you're picking up.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful what you listen to, be careful what you watch, be careful what you're around. So for instance, I myself, because I'm a researcher and because the nature of business that I'm in, I do occasionally watch mainstream news and I keep up to date with what's happening on the physical world as well as the spiritual world. But what I'm very aware of is I don't get lost in that world, which is very easy to do, which I do sometimes. I'll start with a news stream, I'll start watching something, and all of a sudden, before I know it, I'm so deep down that rabbit hole of what's happened with Jeffrey Epstein and this island and who's in on it. I'm reading all the threads and I have to stop and go, whoa, I'm getting lost here. I'm meant to pick up what I'm meant to pick up and get out. Let me get out of this trapdoor really quickly. And then I have to switch off and go away.
Yeah.
So that is a trick you have to master and be very careful with. But for most people, I would say stay away from that. You know, people like my wife, I always tell her, because she's sensitive, she doesn't know how to control that. It affects her. Stay away from it. Don't watch the news. You know, whatever you're listening to or watching, is it building you or is it destroying you, basically? Is it serving you or isn't it serving you?
Exactly. And yeah, that's true, man, because there's only two type of vibrations, man, really. It's just fear and love. So, you know, fear, you being depressed, being scared, being anxious of what's going on in the world, being whatever. All these are just sub emotions of that fear vibration. But if you vibrating from that love vibration, you know what I'm saying, you'll be able to see this world as the illusion that it really is, the matrix. And you know, you can laugh that shit off and smile and laugh and oh, that's not real. It don't matter. You know what I mean? So that's powerful that you brought that up, Martin, for just making sure we understand that the things we're watching, you know what I'm saying, if you're not vibrating at a higher rate, then you'll be stuck in that kind of what you call loophole or whatever, and you'll be trapped in this low vibrational fear-based emotions. So yeah, that's good. Let me see. I need to put. I don't know if Trav is ready for his question yet, but anybody else got anything to plug?
Well, I had a question. Are you ready, Trav?
No, go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Trav. Whoever.
You go ahead, Mook.
Okay. I had two comments I wanted to make and kind of question as well. So a lot of us, because we were talking about Bobby Hemmett, of course. So a lot of us, you know, are familiar with his work and stuff like that. And Bobby Hemmett has something called Return of the Great Old Ones, right? And I remember in a few of your other videos, Martin, that you talked about how we have our root races. Yes, we have, you know, like the human race here, but, you know, as above, so below. So we have our connection to the root races, the Anunnaki, the Atlantean, Lemurian, you know, things like that. And when I was looking at that model that you made of the four rings and things like that, Bobby always talks about the turn of the great old ones and us being that, and how this happens as them coming back. But I remember in the model you were saying something about how when a new age happens, how we get closer to the center. So if the Anunnaki, being us, the black race and things like that, are the original race or the original seeded people, and we have all these cycles that we go through, would that mean that they are actually returning back to the center based on the model that you made? Like, are they actually coming closer to us, or and you know, because a lot of us feel like the soul family and that we have this connection coming back to our more ancient cosmological ancestors, that connection coming online a lot heavier. So would that mean that we are coming more in touch with the multidimensional self, or does that mean that there's actually going to be those group of people such as the Anunnaki, them being us and we being them, coming back to the center, right? According to your model. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, that's amazing what's just happened right now, because just before you spoke, I was toying around with a topic that I wasn't sure of whether to speak about, because it's a little bit controversial. Because I know it's a very emotive topic, and if I bring up what I'm going to bring up, people might label me as a racist or someone with an agenda. But the fact that you've asked this question is confirmation from the universe that I meant to speak about it. So thank you for that confirmation.
I'm glad we could do that together.
Right, it's almost like you read my mind, actually. Amazing. Oh, right. Okay, so I'm just going to have to dig straight in there. So just a quick disclaimer. Anyone's about to listen to what I'm saying, please listen to what I'm saying and detach yourselves from the programming, and hopefully you will see the logic and the reasoning in what I'm saying. Right, here we go. So to start off with, we are not the Anunnaki. We are not Aryans. We're not Lemurians. We are physically in this realm. We're all Atlanteans. We're all one race here. So that's the first premise. However, what you said is true. There is a genetic coding, a physical genetic coding that can be linked back to one of these 4 root races that is within our structure right now as a being. So for instance, I am what would be known as a black person. So my physical genetic lineage could be traced back to these so-called Anunnaki or Hyperboreans that are on this outer realm. Okay. However, like most people, although I may look black, I'm actually mixed race. I think I might have mentioned this in a video before. I'm a quarter Indian, which means I'm a quarter Atlantean. My great-great-grandfather was white Irish, so I've got a little bit of Aryan within me, and I am probably 50% African black. So, you know, I'm a mix of quite a few things, and I think all of us are now a mix of quite a few things. Some of us know it, some of us don't. There is also a lot of contention on this physical root race thing, because if you're a black American, you are not a descendant of the Anunnaki. Physically, you are an Atlantean. You are an original being of this realm. You're an Indian. You are not black as we know it. So black Americans are not African Americans. They are Indian Americans, native to this realm. They are the original Atlanteans, what you might call the Vedics or the Dravidians, right? Which is why certain factions within this paradigm in recent times made it a point to call what we call black Americans, African Americans, because they wanted to cut off that lineage of them being native originals of this realm. What you might call an aboriginal. You are originals of this realm. Same as what we call aboriginals in Australia. They are the original Atlantean beings. Same as the Dravidians in India. They are the original beings of this realm. Same as the Khoisan in Africa. They are the original. Same as the, I forgot what they called in Japan. There's a tribe of people in Japan that are quite dark. They look Indian. Again, they're the originals. In the Americans, you've got the, I forgot what the original name was. Yeah, but anyway. So you are an Atlantean predominantly, right? If your genetic is black, what we call black American. My genetic is predominantly African, black African. So if I had to trace my physical lineage, then it would be Anunnaki or Hyperborean. Now, talking about ascension, to tie this into ascension, okay? Like I said, each of these realms has got a root race, and this root race has got certain characteristics, if you like, that are predominant, that have a predominant look. So at the center, the newest race, the Aryans, obviously the closest look in this realm to an Aryan would be what we call a white person, right? Which is why the white race is probably the most watered down culture in this race, because they are the newest addition to this game in this realm. So I think the white gene was introduced about 6,000 years ago when the reset happened. If you watch my cosmic clock presentation, that is when the first white people arrived, if you like, or the first, what we call the fallen angels. The first Aryans came in here, the angels who had children with the sons of God, the fallen angels. This is the story of these Aryans coming into this realm, seeding their genes within the beings that were already here, the Atlanteans, Lemurians, and Hyperboreans that were already here, then mixing with these Aryan beings who are coming from the center to create what we now call the white race here. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because what's interesting, thank you for that, because actually, there's a lot of debate about it, but for me, my lineage specifically, my great they're all Native American, from the Choctaw tribe. And I would always ask my grandmother, like, well, where do we come from? Where did our people come from? All these different type things. And the only thing she would ever tell me literally would be like, we always been here. That's the thing she has told me. She'd be like, we always been here. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, we are from here. We have always been here, And she's like, we didn't come from, we didn't migrate from nowhere. She's like, we always been here. And the further we trace back, it's like very true. Like all of the people that we have ever known have like been literally in the center of America's like our whole lineage. And so it's very interesting that you say that. So I think that's like funny, because she would tell me during the census, even like when they took the census all these years ago, back to the 1900s and stuff like that, that they would literally change, because features wise they look like Black people to me, and I'm like, but we look Black. She's like, we're Native. And she said during the census they would literally change your race. If you were like dark skin based on like skin tone, they would change, like, no, you're Black, you are this, whatever. Like they would change the census, and a lot of the natives would have their race changed because of the census done back way during the 1900s, whenever the census began. So I think that is very interesting that you say that, and that just like sparked so much for me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're right. Your grandmother is very, very right. Yeah, absolutely. So, without diverging too much away from the topic and getting too lost in it, on the bigger scale, when we talk about this essential process and moving from one realm to another realm, this event that is happening, or that we're talking about, this exchange of energy, is an exchange of energy. It is exactly what it sounds like. And that exchange of energy is both physical and spiritual. What do I mean? What do I mean by that? We hear this term of the Jews, the word Jew. Now, the word Jew has been so corrupted. The word Jew does not mean what we think it is. The real word for the word Jew, the biblical word, actually stems from the root word Jew, as in D-U-E. You are Jew for something. Something is Jew to you. That is where that word Jew comes from originally, right? Those of us who are ascending, we are the real Jews. We're not Jewish. Ish means not real, fake.
Right. Yep.
Like you have the English. The English are not the real Ingles. They're Ingle people who are original and native to this land, again, who are dark-skinned, but we won't get into that. And when a sect of people came in, they then call themselves the Ingle-ish. We're Ingle-ish, right? Same with the Moors. You've got the original Moors, and then a certain sect of people came and said, no, we are Moor-ish. Okay? So we hear that Africans say, a lot of North Africans say we are Moorish. Yes, they are Moorish. They're not Moors, because Moors are from the Americas. You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, going back to this whole ascension thing. At the center right now, predominantly, obviously because the central realm is the youngest realm right now, the race of beings there are going to have an Aryan, what we might call white, if you like, distinctive look. That's most people who live there now. Most of the beings who live there now are going to look Nordic, if you like. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you went to the outer realm, the last realm, the Hyperborean Anunnaki realm, the beings that live there, most of them, 90% of them would look dark-skinned, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Now, because this is a balancing of energy, there has to be more Aryans coming into this realm, and there have to be more dark-skinned, if you like, going into the inner realm.
Mm-hmm.
To balance out the equation. So, okay, I hope I don't trigger anyone. Most of the physical beings, most of the spirits, because we're all spirits, after all, this race thing, we're only talking about it from an earthly perspective right now, but it's not the big picture, obviously. We all know that we're all spiritual beings. We're now just talking about it from a physical earth race, which is mundane, so let's not get triggered by it. But it's part of our journey, so we will talk about it. So right now, during this essential process, it only makes sense and it's only natural that most of the people due for an ascension into the Aryan realm would have to be dark-skinned people. Mostly, not all, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
They are the Jews. This is what's known as the Jew. They are due for an upgrade.
Right.
Because the universe has to balance out this energy. This is why the dark-skinned races have been persecuted so much. And this is why the dark-skinned races have been attacked the most in this realm, is because certain factions know this and they are trying to stop this melanated ascension from happening, if you like.
Mm.
And this is why they create so much division and distraction for the black races. Oh, races, like now especially, there's so much talk about racism. There's so much talk about equality. We need equality in America now. You're seeing these black women in government fighting Trump, right? So what they're trying to do now is they're actually trying to distract people from the ascensional process and saying, well, actually, it's time for you to inherit your land again.
Right.
So it's a false Jewness. It's a false paradigm. So a lot of black people are starting to feel a little bit empowered. Hey, we're taking back our land. We're taking back America, right? We're rising up again. When actually you're missing the big picture. What you're meant to be doing is leaving this paradigm to go and start a new paradigm elsewhere. You're meant to be ascending. You are Jew. You are a Jew.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the big distraction. And this is why you find, again, the melanated races are always the most spiritual races. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's not anything racist. You know, when we say where are the most spiritual places on earth, the first place you'll think of is India, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll think of Africans and African Americans. There's a lot of spirituality in those realms. There's not much spirituality in Europe. You come to Europe, you're not gonna hear Nordic people in Sweden or in Norway talking about spirituality that much or as in depth. They are westernized, as we say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this topic, a lot of people have asked me about, you know, the Aryans, the white people at the center. Are you saying, you know, and this is how I would explain it. And I know it's, I've not wanted to talk about it for a long time because I know people will be triggered. There are white people who hear this and say, this is racist. You're saying black people are more special than white people. I'm not saying that, right? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just trying to explain how I see this paradigm and the way I see it. Again, I'm not saying that it's only black people who are ascending. Of course, there are all kinds of people who are ascending, naturally. And in fact, there's even an argument. I would say that if you have a white genealogy right now, an Aryan genealogy, and you are awake and you have become Jewish, or you've become not Jewish and you've become a Jew, it is actually easier for you to ascend because you've already got the Aryan genetic coding within you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So in actual fact, if you are white and you're listening to this and you're feeling marginalized, don't. Because if you're awake and this is your journey, it's actually going to be easier for you to make these transformations and make these changes than it would be for a melanated person, because a melanated person is trying to transmutate from melanin to serotonin, if you like. Outer is melanin, inner is serotonin. The inside is the moon, the outside is the sun. So us who are Jew, we're trying to become less sun and more moon. Right? So my physical genealogy is more tethered to the sun. I'm melanated. I've got melanin. But what I need to be doing as a Jew now is becoming more serenity, becoming more moon-based. Now, white people in this realm, what we call white people, by genetic default, they are serenated. They've got more serotonin than melatonin. So if they do become Jew, it's easier for them to ascend because they already have the genetic coding physically, not spiritually. Spiritually, we're all on the same level playing field. I'm talking about the physical, the plasmic and the physical body.
Right. And this is why I love, man, this powerful, Martin, powerful. Appreciate that. And this is why I love just the discussion of different people's minds and different people's perspectives on the avenue of this thing, because, you know, there's an array of things, but when the truth hits you, you can feel it. You know what I mean? So some people have to hear it from different avenues to actually see it happening, man. And it's powerful, man. We just getting started, family. Look, I see all of y'all in the chat room. We just getting started. We about to have Trav come bring this fire right now. Y'all like and share the video. Let people know it's here. We got Martin Kinney interviewing live with his understanding of how all of this thing works. Powerful, powerful share. Appreciate you, Martin, for real, all day, every day. Y'all follow him on Patreon, on Facebook, on all of his networks, man. We're gonna make sure we get that out, Martin, at the end of this thing. You just kind of let me know. Well, I'll talk to you about that. Trav, where you at, baby? What's up, Trav? The master, the guide. He about to bring this heat. So come on with it, Trav. Where you at?
I'm right here. What's up?
What up? What up?
So I think that's pretty cool how Mook had a question or her statement right when I did, because you really said some of the things that I was about to say, honestly.
All right.
Yeah, it's just crazy how this works out. Also, I was up all night looking into how the African slave trade has been very misrepresented, and how a lot of, you know, melanated people in this country are actually from this country. So again, that's interesting that that came up. But yeah, that all ties into what I was going to say. The frequency, right? Everything is vibration. If you look at a pot boiling water and you turn it on high, it starts out just calm. But as that temperature rises, as that vibration rises, the bubbles start to appear more and more and more and more and more, right? In the Bible, Christ talks about how you can tell what season it is when the leaves start falling off the trees. When you talk about this awakening, right? In the beginning, it's like one person. Then it's like 3, then 5, then 10, then 50, then 100, right? You know, in America, you had the Fard Muhammad, right? And then you had Elijah Muhammad. Then you had multiple Black speakers come out. And see, they came with the history, talking about how, you know, history was misrepresented, how Black people and Black spirituality, how it all comes into play, how we've been taught wrong. Then you start having people like Bobby Hemmitt, people like Phil Valentine. They start coming out speaking about spirituality, bringing the ancient practices back, right? Now you got YouTube full of all these people who are woke. Whether or not they're actually speaking real vibration from the source, or they're just parroting what they've heard, the message is still echoing. Because if I'm a normal person who's curious and I'm flipping through YouTube and I see some guy who doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's talking about spirituality and melanin and all this stuff, I'm still curious because I want to know the truth. So I'm going to be led to those people who are getting this source information. Basically, what I'm saying is people like us are the bubbles in that boiling pot, right? We're appearing more and more. And those of us who have source information are gathering together, and that vibration is increasing in its intensity. So I might not know what Martin Kinney is studying right now, and I might not necessarily watch all of the Rogue Titans videos, but when I do glance at his stuff, his Instagram, I know we're on the exact same vibe, right? Some stuff that I'm thinking about in my head, haven't even posted it yet, and he's posting pictures of it. That was last night. Different things where Mook, right? I'll be making a video on the topic, and you have just released the video before I press record. These things happen for a reason, right? There's a frequency that's underlying this physical layer, okay? And that frequency is what inspires us to do what we do. It's not about the physical. Fuck the physical, right? It's about the symbolic representation. Everything that we do is a symbol, right? This video is a symbol of that source vibration. And all of you in the chat and that's watching right now are people who are getting source information. And it's people like you who are going to continue to spread this vibration out. Really, we shouldn't have any fear about, I might miss the jump, or, you know what I'm saying, what about this or that? Just focus on the source vibration. It's going to give you everything you need, just as it always has. The stuff that I teach isn't the same thing as the stuff that y'all teach, but it's all coming from that same place. So focus on self, focus on developing that vibration. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes, Trav, that's powerful, man. Powerful. Always bringing the heat for real, because at the end of the day, we always see that in all our videos, and us being like interconnected somehow. Like Masterly Foolish is a genius, because at the end of the day, he brought us to a like-minded group of people that is vibrating at the same rate and understanding this thing in another level. And it's just a beautiful thing to see happening and unfolding as we're just living out or playing out this reality. So yeah, that's magic for real. Magic. Okay. Anybody else? Who got the question? Who got the questions? Come on, family. Let me see.
Can I just quickly add something?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just a quick, and I won't be too long. The first thing I wanted to say was I just wanted to add to my point earlier on about because I'm not that I'm worried, but I don't like to marginalize people or make people feel a certain way. So I like to make sure that I clearly clarify things as much as I can. So again, like I was saying earlier on, that there is a code to all of this. There's a code of conduct. There is a structure to this essential process. It's not haphazard. It's not random. There is a spiritual code and there is a physical code, like Travis was just saying, which I'll touch on in a minute. So while we're talking about the physical code, like I've been saying, right now, the melanated gene is the one that's due to ascend predominantly, to go up north, to go into the settled realm where the Aryans are. And vice versa, the selenited gene, what we might call the lighter races, are the ones that are going outwards to the outer realms. Now, someone might say to me, well, how can you prove this? Well, it's easy. If you just look at the socio economic structure of our world today, when you look at the number of people who are talking about going to Mount Zion, right? We hear this thing of the Rastafaris talking about returning to Mount Zion. Now, where's Mount Zion?
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, it's at the North Pole. This is Mount Meru. This is the Holy Mountain. This is the center. So even though they don't know where this is and they all think it's in Egypt, Ethiopia, or wherever they think it is, subconsciously, they are all saying we need to return to Mount Zion. We all need to go to Mount Zion, right? So this is very strong within the Rastafari culture. Equally, on the flip side, when you look at the narrative of people going to Mars, which I propose on my model is the outer realms, where Mars is the sun on the outside, right? How many Africans or Black people do you see talking about going to colonize Mars or space missions? How many Black people do you see, involved in anything to do with outer space? Not many. Besides Neil deGrasse Tyson, I can't think of any, really. Right? So again, that is something that you can already see within our collective, subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
It's telling you something there. So there is a natural order to all of this. Now, having said that,
let me
what
ask you something real quick, Martin. Let me ask you something real quick so the family
Yep.
is confused. Because we understand there's a level of mind control that you got to get out of, right? So with the people that's kind of, dead to the world and dead to their understanding, like I just seen somebody, some female call their baby ugly. It was crazy. I never seen no shit like that. It was a crazy video. I'm like, why is she calling her own baby ugly? And she, you know what I'm saying? So the dumbed downness of our culture, of our people, is kind of been manipulated by the mind control of the influencers or whatever, right? So just let's say, for instance, if the Aryans came from the center, right, and they know that, and they, just like you were saying, they were Caucasian or white race, right?
Yep.
Then now that means they're kind of in control of this realm, this Atlantean realm, right? Because they're coming from the center.
Yep.
To bring in new information or to control. So now if we're all the way back in the Anunnaki, wouldn't it mean they're trying to keep us in a slave mindset?
No. So we've got to differentiate two things here. The controllers are not just Aryans. The controllers are a mix of the Aryans, the Lemurians, and some Atlanteans.
Okay, yeah.
These are just negative beings. This is what I was just about to say. The spirit, like Travis was saying, once we've resolved that physical aspect of it, we must now go deeper into the spiritual aspect, because that is where the reality really is. So right now, there are people, because right now I'm an Aryan. I regard myself as I'm now becoming Aryan, right? Spiritually. I may not look it physically, but spiritually, I'm becoming more and more Aryan, right? Now, what do I mean by that? That's because I am preparing for that Aryan energy, if you like. And doesn't mean I'm becoming a white person physically. I'm talking about spiritually, right? Now, this is the hidden message Michael Jackson was trying to tell us by him changing his skin color. But he was doing it in a very twisted physical form. But there's an allegory to why he changed himself from black to white, and then sang, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, contradicting himself. But it's not contradiction. He's telling you the truth. You have to see the deeper truth there, that it doesn't matter if you're black or white physically. However, spiritually, there is a physical change that is happening. Right? So when we talk about the controllers, I don't speak about controllers as just Aryan beings or white people. Absolutely not. The controllers are a mix of some Anunnaki lineage, some Atlantean lineage, some Lemurian lineage, some Aryan lineage. However, if you are an Aryan person, or if you have, or the original Aryan people that came here, the ones that would have came out would have been negative Aryans. Because remember, negative always goes outwards, positive always goes inwards. Right? In the same way, if there are melanated people going outwards, they are just negative, physically melanated people going outwards. It doesn't automatically mean they're going to be positive. So it all comes back to spirit. That is the only true race, like I said in the first video. Negatives, positives, and neutrals. But your incarnation, obviously, especially at this point in time, your incarnation, you will incarnate into an avatar that will mirror your journey as close as possible. So for instance, I incarnated into this avatar for a reason. I've got, Aryan genealogy, I've got Atlantean Indian genealogy, and I've got African genealogy, right? So I've got all those mixes of things. So I don't have an allegiance to anything. I've got no agenda. I am black, white, and Indian.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Go ahead, babe.
So I totally, vibrate with what you said about us being due for ascension. Like it's time for us to actually migrate back to the center. That's also something Bobby Hemmett talked about a lot, just saying, when we were in the ancient Egyptian times, we had already fallen, from where we were at that time. So do you feel like we, the root race, the creators of this entire existence, do you feel like we created the new Aryan people so that we can draw them out of the center so that we can move in? Because that's
There,
something that Bobby Hemmett talked about as well. Like we created, the Aryan
who's
people, or
we?
white people, or Caucasian people. We created them. Did we
The question,
create them so that we can pull them out of the center so that we can now migrate back in?
no. So the question is, who's we?
Okay.
Who's we? We, because let's move even further into this realm at the center, past Eden. We've got what? We've got Mount Meru, right? We've got Mount Meru, where the Polarians live. Now, the Polarians, like I said, these are angels. They don't have a pigment. They're not white or black or anything, right? This is the plasmic spiritual race. Going back to plasma, they are plasma beings, angels. They don't have a race. So there is no, when you become a Polarian, you are no longer a we. You're no longer tethered to any race. And the Polarians are the ones who create and push or pull the physical races in and out of realms. So there is no we, there is no us or them, because fundamentally we are all Polarian.
Yeah.
So what I would say to you is, in a past lifetime, you were definitely also a white person at some stage. You'd have had to be. You were a Chinese person. You were an African. You were a native Atlantean or Indian. Right? You have to go through all those things. So stripping it all away, like Travis was saying, right? Let's not get too caught up in the us versus them, because there is no us and there is no them. It is all we. Because we are all plasmic Polarian beings, all of us. Remove the skin color, remove the flesh and the bones. What's left is your plasma body, your light body. And that body, you cannot tell if someone is black or white. We're all identical. The only way you can tell the difference between someone is by their signature, their sign of nature, their frequency.
Yes.
That is the true race. That is how you tell what race someone is in that form.
Facts. Man, man. Say, we getting deep right now, family. Hey, we getting real deep, and we trying to go in and we trying to just investigate as scientists, as spiritualists. We're trying to do the best that we can to gather our own understanding. So, family, I want everybody in the chat room to know I appreciate y'all in the chat room listening and learning and growing and just building this understanding. So powerful share, man. Powerful share. We're gonna go to Mike, man, because I know he's been waiting to bring some heat. Mike, what's up?
I just wanted to say to tie in what Martin said and Dre's question. It's my understanding, and Martin, you can correct me. It's my understanding that the whole concept of spirituality, the belief in God external, is that God chose to manifest in the physical to experience. So it's my understanding that from the center, which Martin in his model refers to as Polaria Mount Meru, from that center, from that singularity, the goal is to move outwards and then move back inwards. So so we came from that singularity, from that center point, that Mount Meru, Mount Hermes, is all these mountains that we basically were ejected from. And the goal is to experience by going outwards and then going inwards, back to the source. And you come back to the source with all of your experiences and information. That's just my understanding. And so when I look at things in terms of race, Trav I mentioned the Rogue Titan. Um, he speaks a lot about suffering, and I could also say there's another one of my friends, Alex Wenzel. A lot of people who are on this path, occultists, metaphysicians, whatever you want to call it, they're realizing that the goal is not to do away with humanity. It's not giving into it. You came here, you have your experiences, whatever it might be, good or bad, whatever the polarity might be, but the goal is to experience, and actually whatever your role is to revel in it. you know I actually, when I go down the street and I see homeless people and I see them on the side of a freeway sleep, I'm actually jealous. And I wonder, man, how can you sleep right there in all this traffic? But I get jealous when I say jealous in the terms of I wonder, man, this dream's got to be on fleek for him to be sleep right there. I wonder, what is he dreaming about? Where is he at in the astral? I actually had a homeless person tell me that he was more free than me. He told me he didn't have any bills, he didn't have no worries, and he was experiencing his humanity at that moment. You know, so for me, I look at the suffering is what I want to speak on, because that's what we're mostly caught up in, whether it's financial, physical, spiritual, whatever it is. We look at suffering, but that suffering is actually what got us all right here, right now. If you were a multi-billionaire and all your wants and needs were satisfied, you probably wouldn't even be concerned with spirituality, you know. But also on the reverse side, we have people who are multi-billionaires and they envy us. I think it's in the Kabbalion where it says that the millionaire envies the poor person's appetite. A person who has everything kind of tastes bland and plain. And but there's a person who's you would consider poor, and they have beans that taste like steak. They put a little bit of this. That's what our people did. They took wild greens and all these other herbs and stuff and made meals out of weeds. So I look at it in terms of, I always remind myself that while to contradict myself, while it's about your humanity, it's not about giving into humanity, but the human race is just for humans. Because in the end, it's about leaving that center source, going out to experience and coming back with those experiences. Because if God or the universe, whatever you want to call it, if it was perfect, then why did it create this reality? Obviously, there's a need to experience, whether it's negative or positive, there's a need to experience. I just wanted to chime in with that. Actually, I forgot my original question. I got caught up in the discussion, but I just wanted to say that because I believe that suffering is what is like the wind that causes a kite to go higher. If there was no wind, you'd never get your kite in the air. It would be on the ground. So what we consider suffering, in a way, we actually have to find, and when I say suffering, I'm talking about this human drama of race, and police brutality, and chemtrails, and clone meat. Um, I just look at it and say, uh, either your kite is in the right direction and it's soaring higher, or it's stuck on the ground and you can't get it up. But that's the only way I view what we call suffering. And I try to never get caught up on race. I try to never get caught up on sexual orientation, because that's another thing we're going through right now. And
Hmm.
my whole take on all of that is we've lived multiple lives. We have current lives going on in multiple dimensions, and it's a at this point, at this singularity, we're trying to reconcile all those differences, and we just have to realize that the differences are not to be reconciled. You just remain loyal to your loyalties at this moment. Because if we were somewhere else, living another life, whether it was in the 1800s or the BC era, that would be your existence, and you would have no understanding of my cell phone's about to die. If you were 2,000 years ago and you got a transmission about a cell phone, you would be like, man, I had the craziest dream ever. I was holding a piece of something and it was dying. and it would make no sense. But that's just my only take on it. Like I said, I forgot my original question, but I just wanted to bring that to the table because race is a big thing, and I actually think race is one of the lower vibrations you get caught up on. You know, because uh, for it to be a race, there has to be a winner and a loser. I push the Bible a lot because I recognize the trauma centered around the Bible, mostly for us here in America. We've been traumatized. Most people, if they went to church, they got pinched by their granny to be quiet. It was rammed down their throat. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. I went to what we didn't call it church, but I
Me
went.
too.
Okay, we went 5 times a week. We
Do you?
went 5 times a week.
Hell
And
no.
on Friday night, I always tell people when we
God
talk
damn.
consciousness and we talk about death and dying, I always tell people I've basically been woke. Every Saturday, I knocked on people's doors and told them they was gonna die. Every
God.
Saturday, I would knock on your door while you was watching cartoons and chilling, and I would tell you, you're gonna die. So, I laugh and joke about it now, but I'm just saying that to say that I reached a point where I was done with the Bible because I took it totally literal, totally human. I was one of those kids. I would ask questions at the meetings, and I would say, well, I would have these questions, and they would always just give me some blanket answer. Why should I fear God? I'm supposed to? Well, Michael, your thoughts are not his thoughts, and your ways are not his ways. He's a father. Oh, how was a man in the belly of a whale for 3 days? And I had these questions. I actually asked a question when I was real young, maybe 10, and I asked, why are the bad people in the Bible black? The building of the Tower of Babel, when you look, it's always something negative. But once I reached a point where I said, man, fuck the Bible. I'm done with that. That's the book of lies. But then when I came into my true consciousness, which is going full circle, which is the hero's journey, where you start off where you are, you go into the unknown, and you come back to where you were. Everything else is still the same. You're just different. So now I push the Bible because you can quote the Quran, you can quote the Mahabharata, you can quote the Rig Vedas, you can quote any spiritual book. Most people either won't hit like or ignore it. But if you quote the Bible, you'll bring out the dead, the living, the zombies. Everybody gets mad and feels some kind of way. And I just try to point out that the Bible is indeed a spiritual document, and it was drafted for our time. And just like right now, we have the perfect understanding of, I'll say, the Rig Vedas or the Mahabharata. You can Google it, and it'll tell you the meanings of all these verses. Well, right now, most people still don't understand the Bible, and it's still telling the same story. So I'm tying it back into the suffering is that the Bible has been a source of trauma for a lot of people. And the thing is, you don't run from it, you run towards it. Because if you run from it, and I'm going to use the globe, the circular scenario, if you run from it, you only find yourself back where you started. The goal is to experience and then go back to where you were, because it's not about, for some people, this consciousness, it doesn't make you to nothing different. It just makes you more of who you are. So you find yourself back where you started. You're in the same place. You're just different. Everybody else is still experiencing life at their speed, at the speed of life, at their rate. But I just say that this, what we consider suffering in terms of race and oppression, that's just like lifting spiritual weights and getting stronger. That's the only point I just wanted to make.
Truth in
Amen,
that.
brother.
Truth in that, Mike.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
we're gonna turn the wheels, man. I know Martin Kenny got a few minutes left on this thing, so we're gonna try to turn the wheels and talk about this time. Let's talk about time in itself. We all know time is this illusion, right? Let's try to get some light into this. So there was this thing, right, where I read, okay, Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar, right? They added months to the year. So Julius Caesar, July, Augustus Caesar, August, right? That's why we have the October month is 8, but it's really 10. And then We had December as, 12, but it's really 10, right? So this is for the panel too. It's not just for you, Martin Kenny. This is just for the panel because it always bothered me that event happened in that time and space. And now we're here looking at certain times to affect certain events to happen. And I was always curious about, well, if they change the time scheme continuum, right? Then what is really time? And did they change the whole consciousness of this thing? So can y'all all explain how this time is an illusion, or does this clearly make it an illusion since somebody actually changed the months of the year in essence?
Just because that's like fully loaded of a question, but it's a good one. And if Martin Kenny, see my setup is over trip. But if Martin Kenny, you want to say something first, then I'll let you. But my question, my whole thought process on time is that, and it's so ironic that you asked about time, and he just brought up the Jehovah's Witnesses because I was raised a witness too. And one thing that we don't do is celebrate holidays and birthdays and things like that. Even you could look at Michael Jackson and Prince, two very spiritual people were raised Jehovah's Witnesses too. And they also, if you look at Prince over time, he stopped paying attention to time. He'd be like, I don't pay attention to the days of the week, things like that. He didn't, celebrate birthdays, whatever. He's like, he didn't believe in it. Mariah Carey, she's another person that'd be like, I don't pay attention to time, and a lot of these people, very spiritual people, talk about time. And I think it's very important because it's all based on perception. So we could follow these days of the week, we could follow these different calendars and things like this, but I feel like our internal clock is what gives us the inclination as to what's going on around us spiritually, like inner, like how, if for instance, we know that, like when I was saying about the multi-dimensional selves, will start to pull on us when it's time for us to do certain things. Whether I had an alarm clock or not, if it's time for me to go through a phase of ascension or awakening, that's going to happen for me. And I don't have to have it doesn't have to be a 2020 or things like that. But at the same time, I feel like it is, even if we rearrange the way that the numbers worked, if we said, okay, say that we start using, October as the 10th month or whatever, or we switch the numbers up and things like that, would that change what it means to us spiritually? Would that stop us from still having these inner guidances that tell us when it's time for us to do something so far as our spirituality is concerned? I don't think that it changes it in that aspect. I think it's important to be aware of, because all of these the days of the week even, correlate to the different planets. The days, the months correlate to these different seasons, things like that. I feel like those are things that we would know internally, regardless of what the external shows us. But because we have an awareness of it, I think that that's what, kind of drives us in a sense. But I feel like also the more we take ourselves out of paying attention to time, the quicker that things speed up, our manifestations speed up, the ability to stay present becomes more dominant, because there's that saying like, well, time flies when you're having fun. When you're not paying attention to the time, it seems like time is just like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's non-existent. And our vibration is more present. So we're seeing things speed up in essence, but it's our spiritual awareness that becomes the guidance versus our physical awareness of it, if that makes sense. So I just kind of think that it's important to have awareness of like what these different phases mean for us, but I don't think that it makes a difference as far as our spirituality is concerned, because if it's time for us to do something so far as inner guidance, inner work, as far as our cosmological clock and things like that, I think that we'll do what we're supposed to do, because as spiritual beings, we know when it's time to armor up or do whatever it is we're supposed to do. But that's just my thought on it.
Mm. Facts. Love it. Go ahead, Martin, or whoever on the panel that wants to dive into this discussion.
Actually, I'd like to speak on time real quick.
Okay.
And I'll make it a point to be brief. We call this reality illusion. Time is definitely an illusion. I think it was in the book Primordial Man and His Symbols by Albert Churchward, and he spoke on the fact that originally, I believe it was the Egyptians who kept time by the star Sirius. We didn't keep time by our local sun. So you would imagine that time actually moved a lot slower then if we kept time by Sirius, you know. And so when you look at these months and they've been renamed, you go BC, before the Common Era, it appears they were counting down backwards. Well, at what point, who made the determination to say we're going to count down backwards from 10,000? You know, time, I think that time is probably the greatest illusion. You look at Egypt, they built using 4 dimensions. The pyramids and temples, they factored in time in building. That's why the Temple of Man was built over the course of, I believe, 200 to 300 years. Several pharaohs participated in the building of this temple. But we just now realized from John Anthony West and these other scholars who actually went in and looked and realized that the Temple of Man showed a fetus being born. And so it grew over the course of time, because time is a factor for fetuses to grow and whatnot. So you look at, and what we call time, this is our time. We have October, we have July, we have all these. If you look at it, October is 8. It should be the 8th month. But since we added in July and January, October became the 10th month. But this is our time. And it's for our era, like Martin has said in his motto, that, you know, there's the Iron Age and this and that. Well, our Iron Age is somebody else's Golden Age. They just view the time differently, you know. And I just personally look at time, and I'll say this: there's actually a 13th month, which is Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. But if you do any research on Ophiuchus and why that constellation was removed, that 13th month was removed, you won't get a straight answer. You know, time is just a means for us to experience, in my opinion. You know, so we have these months and times. We have 24 hours in a day, but it comes down to numbers. Time is just numbers. Most people don't realize that the amount of breaths you take in a day equals a galactic great year. You take like 26,000 breaths a day. It equals, if you break it down from how many breaths you take in a day to the hour, it breaks down to a galactic year. It breaks down to a great year, 26,000 breaths. So time is progressing, whether you realize it or not. You're living a galactic great year every day. Every day. Now we on a macro scale, on a grander scale, it's 26,000 years to progress that far. So I just think that time, we get caught up. Just imagine if you live time by the star Sirius. We obviously lived a lot longer. If we live time by Sirius, then we lived a lot longer. But can you imagine somebody who lived 26,000 years, which to them would be 1 year, when it was time for them to die after 56 rotations of that great year? You can imagine they probably felt like they had more to do, you know. So Egypt is the best example, because they left so much information. and we fail to realize that we speak in symbols. It was C. Freeman L. who said, we don't live in a civilization, we live in a symbolization. And a lot of times we miss the symbols. We get caught up in the physical. So time is a construct. You know, if we were to agree to a different time, I'm pretty sure everything would switch again. But this is our time. Just like, I'm gonna bring it back again. Just like the Bible is a document for this time. If you read it correctly, you get the right understanding. If you don't, you just missed it. But time is still going to progress. I just think that I believe time is the fourth dimension. So, you know, just in terms of like we were saying earlier about watching the news and things like that, you are what you eat, and how time is only measured in terms of wasted or spent. So either you wasted your time or it was well spent. And so I just personally, I look at time as you know, I've gotten caught up in wishing it was more time in the day. Man, I just needed a couple more hours. But it's just all a conscious construct that we all agree on. Because if we all agreed that a day was 72 hours, then that's what a day would be. But that question that you brought up, Dreamwise, is something that I personally investigated for myself, because I wondered who determined BC, who determined AD, who determined that during Socrates' time it was 326 BC, and then later on it became 126. Why was it going backwards? Did they view time as going backwards? So I just and I'm gonna refer back to Martin's model, in that time definitely moves differently in the different spheres or realms that we look at. And I'm personally, I really believe that what we call aliens, they're time travelers, and angels of light. We say that light moves at a certain speed, but who determined that? Even though we can clock it at a certain speed, and you can say this and that, but if you put light travels through water, and light travels at a different speed through different kinds of water. So that lets you know that time is subjective, you know. And I look at the Egyptians when pre-dynastic Egypt just popped up, fully developed. There was no stages, even though there are pyramids that appeared to be like in progress, but in actuality, Egypt just popped up and then went immediately into decline. So I always wonder, well, where did those Egyptians go that just started all this fabulousness? Where did they go? I believe they went in time, because those Egyptians who started everything, I believe it was Brother Panic who said that Egyptians were actually functioning at a higher level. They were communicating through their pineal telepathically, but then they got a revelation that, like all cycles, oh shit, we're about to go to sleep. So they got in a rush and said, let's build, let's write, let's leave this and that, because those symbols that they left on the wall, we're just now realizing that they're not just doing yoga. All these symbols, they have so many layers of meaning. Martin has spoke on it about the polarity. Most people don't realize that all these symbols are solar lunar. They represent the sun and the moon. Jesus is not just the sun. Jesus is also the moon. Heru is best exemplified in the Tale of Two Brothers with Set and Heru. They just represent the sun and the moon. Cain and Abel, they represent the phases of the moon. So a lot of this stuff that we choose to keep time, we get caught up in the micromanage, but actually it's just telling a much bigger story, because we're realizing now that the Egyptians were talking about the micro and the macro in terms of plasma, in terms of Egyptians say, this is in, I want to drop books, because I don't want you to think that this is something I just put out the cosmos. I've read these things and I verified it for myself. Judy K. King's book, the ISIS Thesis, she points out how the whole Egyptian, the book of coming forth by day and night, it's all talking about your ascension in terms of going micro, which is going down into your microbial DNA, going down to the quantum realms, and then the macro, which is leaving the veil of Isis, the magnetosphere, and traveling the universe, which is why they said, oh, when you die, you don't go east, you go west to go east. But we're just now realizing that these plasmic currents that circulate around the earth, if you try to head directly east, you get pushed south. But if you go west, if you travel these currents west, you find yourself heading east and then north is the only way to get out of the toroidal field. So all these symbols, including time as a symbol, is just we're at a point now where we're ready to go beyond the literal, you know. So a lot of these things, I just want to tie it into time. We have to look at it beyond the literal. We talk about Maya and this being an illusion, then time would have to be one too, you know. But Martin, I would love if you could speak on time as well. But that's just my understanding, just that time moves differently. So when we have what we call an alien visitor or whatever you want to call it, they're just in their golden age, or maybe their iron age is way more advanced than our current era, you know. And we just find that they appear so alien because of the different vibration in terms of time, you know. Nothing is at rest. Some things vibrate faster, some things vibrate slower, and that's just my understanding.
Yeah, and still playing devil's advocate, Martin. If you can just let us understand or give us your understanding of the whole time being manipulated by certain people that can, you know, affect, you know, our consciousness or our conscious stages and all of that.
Yeah, some really good points raised by Monica and Mike there. Thank you for that, guys. And I wholly resonate with everything that you've said. Absolutely, time is within, and also, you know, there isn't a set formula or construct for time. But to answer your question, Kamari, my understanding is, well, when we fell from this age into this, what we now call in this iron age that we're in, we all fell to a neutral stage. All the souls in this realm fell to what we call a neutral state. There were hardly any positives and there were hardly any negatives. There were no rulers at all for whatever span of time that was. This is when the Great Flood happened, or this big event, the last big reset. Now, at that point, or at some point soon after, these toroidal fields opened up, like I said, and certain factions of beings from other realms, from other spaces of time, came into our realm, and this is when the negatives and the positive race began. So there were some who came from the outside, who would have been positives, going inwards, and some who came from the inside, going outside, who would have been negatives. So now all of a sudden, we now had the soul race beginning, the negatives, the positives, and the neutrals. Now, the negatives naturally would have outnumbered the positives simply because of the time that we're in. We're in an iron age. So being in an iron age, the frequency of that time is going to be that of a very low vibrational frequency. So majority of the people would have been negatives. And over time, our journey through all of this is for us to try and neutralize or balance the scales. Right? We talk about balancing the scales in all of these ancient cultures. This is the balancing of the scales that we're going through now. So over time, these negatives have been running this paradigm, or when they took over this paradigm, these negatives, the first thing they needed to do, obviously, was to manipulate matter. Now, the only way a being can manipulate matter is by manipulating space and manipulating time. Right? Now, for me, time is a thing that can be measured, and time is measured by the heavens, the celestial bodies, the sun, the moon. The sun rotates above the earth. There is a sequence to it. The moon does the same thing. Actually, there should be 13 months. The word month comes from the word month. And if you clock all the months, different cycles, there are 13 month cycles. So there should be 13 months, really. It's a whole other topic. But anyway, cut a long story short, if you want to manipulate matter, and right now we are matter, us beings right now, we are the matter on Earth. In this iron age, we're in matter form, we're in rock form. If you want to manipulate that, you must manipulate the space and the time. And now it makes sense why these entities that entered our realm, the negatives, felt the need to change, first of all, the reality of where we are and when we are.
Mm-hmm.
Now you see why they told us we live on a spinning ball, spinning at all this, because now you're changing space. You're changing the paradigm of space, right? You now have control over the matter because you're changing a crucial element of that equation. The next thing you have to change once you've changed space is change time. Because of course, when you change time, you change history, you change information, you change knowledge. So all of a sudden, you now have control over information, which is time, and you have control over area, which is space. This is the biggest reason why we've all been lied to about where we are and when we are. So for instance, you know, there's all this information coming out that actually what we think are the 1500s, 1600s are the 500s. The one is not a one, it's an I. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's actually an I or a J. So actually what we think might have been a few hundred years ago might have not been that far away or might have even been further away. So we're so confused right now. So not only are we in a state of amnesia, we're in a state of confusion. We're lost souls. Remember earlier on I said that we are spirits embodied in a plasmic field, and we are souls to the earth through our souls, through the body. So we are lost souls. So the only way to find our way back is through what? Is through, rediscovering the truth. Knowledge. Knowledge is power. We arm ourselves with knowledge. This is what you now call karma, K-arma. Right? So when we say flat earth and all this, this is why flat earth is important. But not just the flat earth we're taught, the limited one, because that's just another false paradigm. The full picture of it all of a sudden we're reclaiming space. Right? We're finding our place. We're finding ourselves. This is why we're now questioning things like time, like you're saying, history. Everyone's now questioning history. Hang on a minute. The Egyptians, were they really primitive or actually were they advanced? You know, is 1500 actually 1500 or is it actually 500? Right? We're questioning these things, and the more we unravel these things, we're basically taking back time. So I try and see time from that perspective. Time is not a year and now. Time is a continuum. It's a space-time continuum. And time, of course, is not linear. It is cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it is almost impossible to say this happened at this time and these people did this at this time. Because like Brother Mike said earlier on, there are so many things that are interchanging. There are beings who come into our space and time from a different space and time, from a different dimension. And they bring their influences from their space and time, and that confuses our paradigm at that point. For instance, right now, if an extraterrestrial being came from the central realm, according to my hypothesis or my theory, if an Aryan being or being from that Aryan realm came into this realm, and I believe they are 3,000 years ahead of us, they would bring technology and information that is 3,000 years ahead of where we are now. And all of a sudden, right now where we are, our technology would jump from where we are now,
Yes.
3,000, because they brought this technology. All of a sudden, people look back to this time and say, what happened in the year 2020? We went from driving cars with diesel to cars that were flying with electromagnetism. Something happened. What happened to time? So we cannot, there's no way of logging time on the physical realm here on Earth. It is impossible. The only way we can log time is through the astral planes, astrology, astrologo, logging of the astral planes. That's what astrology is.
Mm-hmm.
So to tell time, you must be able to read astrology. And like Sister Monique said, astrology is an inward thing. It's an intuitive thing because what? We are stars. Like I said earlier on, we are the astrology because we are stars. We are spirits. Spirits are stars. We are spirits that are wrapped inside this plasmic body, wrapped inside blood, wrapped inside skin and bones or matter. So if you want to tell time, you go within and you read your astrology within. You read your own star, and your star is connected to the stars above us. And that is what downloading is. That is what channeling is. That is what all these terms are. So when the time is right, astrology will tell us, or your heart or your essence will tell you what you should be doing at that particular space and time.
Mm-hmm.
But in a few years' time, we might be in another realm, and all of a sudden, time is completely different to what it is now.
Yeah.
Our understanding physically and metaphysically.
Oof.
So there's no straight answer to how we measure time or what time is.
I love that. I love that response, Martin. Love it, love it, love it. Man. Man, you just unloaded some power that we all needed to hear.
You want
And
your phone, buddy?
it was magical, man. I know you got to go, Martin. I know you have to go. Man, it's just never enough time, huh? There's never enough time. That's crazy. But I appreciate you, Martin. As always, just coming on here, sharing your light, sharing your understanding, and giving us, something to think about or something to dwell on. As always, and I know the family definitely appreciates it because, when you get the wheels turning, when you get your mind moving, you can raise up your consciousness to other levels of understanding, and then you could take that and grow within your own spiritual journey. So I appreciate you so much, man. It just, man, magic. Martin, before you go, can you give them your Patreon? Can you give them how do we reach out to you? Everything. I'm gonna put it in the description, family. But make sure y'all go follow Martin Kinney, Flat Earth Universe on YouTube. And then also give us your Patreon, man, because you're dropping a lot of spiritual light that the family needs to get to.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kamari. I really appreciate you guys too. I love spending time on this platform, and I'm happy to come back anytime to chat. I feel right at home. We're all on the same frequency. It's quite evident. So I'm feeling very, very comfortable, and like I said, I'm happy to come back anytime you invite me back. We can have more of this chat.
We're gonna do it again for sure. You already know it has to be. You already know it has to be a part 3, huh, Mike?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I'm already like, God dang, it's just so much information and so much understanding that we can all grow together from picking each other's minds that it's just magic in the air. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me on and for your time and your space to discuss things that matter.
Mm-hmm.
My YouTube channel, Flat Earth Universe. I have a channel where I regularly post stuff on there. But I also have a Patreon page where I've sort of opened up a platform where we can have weekly conversations like this, and also other things in the background. It's just basically a page similar to what you guys are doing, a little family page where it's a bit more condensed and people can get to know each other a bit more intimately, if you like, and share things a bit more intimately. So the Patreon is, I think it's called patreon.com/MartinKenny2020, I think it is.
Yeah, I just shared it, Martin. So I just shared it. So y'all in the chat room, y'all look at that. Y'all go patronize Martin Kinney for sure. Sure.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that, guys. Like I said, we're on this journey. The reason why I have a Patreon is is because I'm off grid and I'm doing this full time now, this research and traveling. So I live in a motorhome with my family, and we are currently just traveling in the UK, and we're healing people as well through food and cannabis and educating people on how to heal themselves through those things. So yeah, that's what the patronage is for. Basically, is to help sort of support that movement. We're also starting a foundation soon. I'll put out information about that. We want to buy some land, and we want to buy some space where those who are feeling drawn to leave where they are and maybe be with a soul tribe physically. It's not a requirement, but those who feel they would like to do that. That's the idea. We want to buy some collective land and start a conscious community of some sort, or a foundation that we can build on and leave behind for future generations to carry on with in the future. Almost like a mystery school, if you like the ancient mystery schools.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. I love that. Yeah, make sure y'all go patronize Martin Kinney. Patronize him, man. This is what it is. We need to be all supporting each other in our endeavors, especially when people are bringing so much understanding to this world and to this light. We need this. Like, I mean, when you put it into practicality, when you give, you receive. So you're receiving this knowledge, so you might as well keep on giving and receiving and giving and receiving. It's an abundant flow. So everybody do the love giving and make sure y'all do that, man. Appreciate you, Martin Kinney, for real, all day, all day. I'll be in contact with you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to sharing these 2 videos on my platform as well.
Yeah.
I know.
Thank you. Thank
on
you.
a lot of topics that a lot of people on my channel haven't heard before. So yeah, it's good.
Yes. Love it. Love it. All right. We'll see you next time, Martin. Appreciate it.
Yes, indeed. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
Peace, Martin.
Cheers. Love you. Bye.
Love. All right, family. We still on here though, man. We about to dissect. I don't know what happened to Trav, man. I'm trying to plug him back on. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, JK Selvin, for the collection plate offering that y'all are giving to the family. Man. Let me try to plug back in Trav. Yeah, man.
Please do. But okay, look, no, before you start, Dream, because I'm gonna say my piece because I'm gonna have to get off here real quick. But there were so many jewels there that's like, whew, man, it was like, okay, boom, like I'm gonna be researching for like the rest of the year. I'm about to be 2020 prepared. Now the thing is, he had mentioned the doppelganger thing, and I meant to ask this before he got off. The doppelganger thing, which like we were talking about the shadow self, we were talking about these different realms and stuff like that, and how we talked about us. Now, something that I mentioned on my channel before with the Flash, right? I always tell people to look at the Flash because it talks about these different portals and how things like that, like gives like almost a scientific like way of like how these portals open, how energy builds up. And so when I first listened to Delbert Blair, and he would talk about how we had to get our vibrational frequency high enough to be able to actually ascend or be able to manifest or do these different things, and watching the Flash and see his ability to create portals and to go through portals and realms was by his ability to build up his energy, which it shows us as being faster than the speed of light, which is really just building up that frequency. You know what I'm saying? So he had to vibrationally be fast enough to transcend through these realms and everything. And so I remember hearing Martin Kinney say that 2 fractals can't occupy the same space, which is a bit interesting to me because I don't see it that way. I think that 2 fractals can occupy the same space, but that these fractals end up holding different vibrational frequencies. Because I say that because my father is a twin. I tell people this all the time. That is two fractals. That's the same, you know what I'm saying, energy signature. He's an identical twin. So but they hold different energy. So like how they say like one twin, like my dad's the more reserved one, my uncle's the more aggressive one, you know, things like that. So I think that two fractals can occupy the same space because it, I guess the doppelganger thing may be different because this is you in a different realm, so to speak. But how would you explain twins then, being in the same realm, holding the same but also different vibrational frequencies? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about that though
Right.
when he was talking, and so that was really interesting to me because we see a lot of this doppelganger, you know, in multi-dimensional, like multi-realms, opening portals, like all of this has come into our like direct contact with all the movies and the shows that we're watching, which I think is really important. And I think that us slipping into dimensions, going into other realms, different things like that, the ability to do that with the veil being thin and different things like that, I think that that becomes more possible, and how it looks or how it presents itself may not be exactly as we expected. So like just kind of that brought a whole bunch of different perspectives to me, like just hearing him speak about that. So I wanted to share that and like see if anybody had any thoughts about that. But that's it. That was it.
No, I love that move. I love that.
No, hey, if I could chime in real quick, I agree. I have twin daughters. They're not identical, but still, it's the same principle. I think that what Martin is saying is that when the two fractals can exist in the same space and time, it would be a matching vibration. So it wouldn't be two; it would be a singular. You know, so you can exist, but just at a different vibration. That's what I would think. At a different vibration. You know, uh, I've seen it. I've been in meditation and in the astral, and I've seen myself operating at the same time and in the same space, but we weren't on the same vibration though. And I think that those seven laws, vibration, rhythm, they're not coming polarity. All these laws they apply, and actually in quoting the Kabbalion, one you can use one law to cancel out another. But I not so much cancel as in get rid of. They just become syncopated and they become one. So like having twins, your father and your uncle, they are the same, but they're on different vibrations. One's a little lower vibration, one's a little high, one's more aggressive, one more is reserved. If they were to embody the same vibration at the same time, they wouldn't be twins. They would just be one person. But we know this in ourselves. You got moments when you super chill and you relax, and you got other moments when you far from chill, far from relaxed, and everything's getting on your damn nerves. And you know what I'm saying? So I feel what you're saying, and I think it always come down to semantics. We all struggling. We're all struggling to explain this experience, and I think that's why when you get in spirituality, you might have to use a Sanskrit word. You might have to use something from Nordic mythology because you're grasping it to try to explain your experience. And right now, the best we can do is explain it in terms that we know right now. You know, so we think about these fractals. I'll be honest, it's all geometry. It comes down to numbers and geometry and angles. I even view stuff like abortions and miscarriages differently now. You know, tied in to Dre's earlier comment about our kids. You know, I can remember being like 6 and my mom had a miscarriage in the bathroom. And I remember going in and looking and seeing the blood and I saw the little fetus or whatever. But we're all, for whatever reason, we all dying to get down here. And I say dying because you come here with the expiration date, but it's all angles. So if you're not on the right angle, then you become what we call an abortion or a miscarriage. If you're on the right angle, you manifest down here and you do what you got to do. But I feel what you're saying, and I think it's just the wording. And even in the wording and how we view it, your move you're still your own universe. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And the laws of gravity might operate just a little differently in your universe as opposed to mine. And right now, instead of our universes colliding and causing some galactic explosion or canceling out life, actually we're all trying to get on that same vibration together, or at the very least, I take what you just gave me and I add it to my universe, and maybe my universe will vibrate a little higher, or maybe what you're telling me means my universe needs to slow down a little bit, you know. But I do agree with you. And these comics, these movies, only one story to be told, only one. And that's why I say you can't be mad at the Bible. People say, man, the Bible just took everything from Egypt and remixed it. No, it's only one story to be told. So I don't care. Okay, Dre, you mentioned the Left Behind movie y'all watched.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Kirk Cameron version. I watched like the two different versions. I even read the books back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
Books was a lot better. But I sad to say that it's only one story to be told.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at any one of these movies, it's just one aspect of the story that can be told 1,000 different ways.
Right.
So when we look at these paradigms and we say, well, this can't exist here, because at one time our understanding of time travel came from movies, and it was you can't interact with your past self or your future self, or you'll destroy reality. But now mainstream is giving us a whole new paradigm in that, wait, Endgame showed us you can go back. You can interact with your past self, and the universe won't explode, you know. And if you did change anything about your past self, that's just like one line. I'm talking geometry, one line venturing off and going in another direction. So I think it all applies. I think it's just the wording. We get caught up on words
Right.
because words ain't nothing but swords, and they cut going both ways, you know. But it's all so fascinating to me personally. It
Mm-hmm.
is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dope. Yeah, we got Trav back on, man. Trav, go ahead and bring us some more light, man, while we're still on here.
Oh yeah, I've just been listening primarily. You brought a lot of good points. Everybody brought a lot of good points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trav, I saw you in the Astro, man.
Oh yeah. Recently?
Recently, yeah. Yeah, I was a little too deep. I was asleep, but I was a little too deep. When I woke up, I didn't try to write it down or nothing. But I knew it was you. But I just say it's amazing to me, man. I don't doubt it no more. We was preparing for something, and
Oh
I wish
yeah.
I could shed more light on it in terms of what it was about. But I knew it was you. He was preparing for something. But I'm of the constant belief that we all work in astral. Now, some of us, I say to myself, like me and Dre probably did building, but we wear different bodies sometimes in the astral. You know,
Mhm.
some of them might have, like the Egyptians, you might have an animal face or animal body, you know, but we all working. And I think that the mirror, because everything happening down here is mirrored from the spirit. So we working together at this time. And I know that when I might meet a random person, sometimes when they stand out, I just try to figure out who it is. But
Right.
man, I appreciate because I feel like Martin, I'm a guest. You know, you guys been doing this, and I appreciate the invites. You know, I really do.
Mm-hmm. Facts. Yeah, man. And I love them lucid dreams, man. I just had one last night where I just be like, and that's the thing, family. You want to, when you know you're dreaming and you're in the dream and you know you're dreaming, you're consciously there, you just need to let that shit play out and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So you can bring that information back, these symbols back, right? And you can make it apply to your waking life right now. Because just like I was telling my babe earlier, I was like, man, that dream I had last night was really powerful. And I knew I was dreaming the whole time, and I'm just in it, and I'm just letting everything happen and unfold and just being the ultimate observer. just like down here on this earthly realm, be the ultimate observer of that shit. So that's
You know what? Kamari,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from dreams that, especially the lucid ones,
Yes.
you have to pick your spot when you insert your I hate to say ego. A lot of people have a messed up idea, but there's a time when you sit back and it's like watching the story or reading a book where you can pick your path. At a certain point, you just observe. And you'll know that moment when you say, man, I ain't going left, I'm finna go right. You know,
Right.
and I've learned from dreams that if you force it too much, I've been kicked out of the astral so many times. I just laugh. If I insert too much of me, I just wake up, I get kicked out and I laugh because I was doing too much. I tell you one real quick. I was in a hospital with my sister. It was like in the 1950s setting, and we had a nurse and she was walking us out of this hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I came into the dream, I was watching, I was listening, and I said, shoot, I ain't leaving this hospital. First chance I get, I'm dipping off from them. And we were about to go out the door, and I broke left, and I woke straight up. And I just laughed and said, oh, I was supposed to chill. Because I realized once I woke up that going out that hospital, I was actually going into another layer of the dream, another layer of the astral. And that's where that's where I was being conducted to. That nurse was just like a gateway keeper. I'd already got my coinage to go to the next gateway, but I wanted to explore where I was coming from. So I said, shoot, first chance I get, I'm dipping off. And I have those a lot. And you do have to be the observer. If you are lucid, maybe that's when you say not so much to control the direction of it, but to ask a question. And you'll be surprised.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I remember dreaming a lot. I noticed recently for the past couple of months, I always have awareness just before I wake up. Like my dreams actually end and then I wake up. And now that you say that, I think that's because I'm starting to become lucid and I'm starting to manipulate it, right? Like I always am lucid just before waking up. It never fails. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. Because at the end of the day, you do want to become this ultimate observer in these dreams because when I know I'm dreaming, right, I'm consciously aware of it. So I just sit back because when I was younger and everything, I used to try to see, okay, let me try to fly. Let me try to rock climb or whatever the hell I was doing, right? But now that I understand and gain this knowledge, I want to take back this power of me trying to manipulate it and let my spirit guide me into whatever it was trying to tell me in the first place. So it's always a powerful thing to just look at them dreams because we dream every night. You know what I'm saying? Some of the dreams we don't even know we're dreaming, but when we are lucid dreaming, we have to step back and say, no, I'm not going to control this. I'm going to just be the observer of this because you can get an ego in the dream state where you do want to, smack somebody in the face or, whatever. So, you know what I mean? You just be aware of it and just kind of let it play out is my best method of explaining how I'm able to manipulate this reality down here on this earth realm.
You know what? I want to say this too. I have a regular reoccurring dream. It's not reoccurring in that it plays out the same, but the topic is the same. And I resign myself to say it's Tahuti. It's that energy. I'm sitting. I'm usually in a forest or the woods somewhere, and there's stadium-like seatings. They go up in rows and they're kind of in a circle, but it's just me and it's a baboon. And he's constantly explaining to me how to manifest 5D objects in a 3D reality. I mean, constantly. And whenever I interrupt, the baboon get heated. Like, man, why are you, whenever I ask a question. So recently I was having it and I said, hey man, you talking to the wrong, you telling this to the wrong person. I'm not mechanical. I'm not engineered to design like that. Because basically it's this constant dream is telling me basically I can make holograms. And I'm like, man, you got the wrong one. I'm not the one for this. Man, he broke it down so simple that she had a fan. Usually we're in the woods. This time he had a fan. He mixed some chemicals like some bleach and vinegar, some other little chemicals. He sprayed it at the fan and it produced a hologram. And so what I got from that last one where he broke it down so simply, like, man, I'm talking to the right one. You just not getting it. So I don't know if it's for an actual invention or if it's just telling me something I need to do consciously. But I finally stopped saying to myself, I don't know why you bringing this to me. I'm not the one for this. Obviously I am, because it's been over 2 years. It's not constantly, but every now and then I wake up and say, man, it's that same dream about manifesting 5D objects in a 3D reality. And I wake up and I finally said in the dream, like, man, you got the wrong one. I'm not the one for this information. And like I said, whenever I interrupt, that baboon, he's in a monk's robe. He gets heated. Man, don't ask no questions, just listen. So a lot of times when we do, because a dream is just symbols. That baboon is a symbol for something else that means something very specifically to me. These 5D objects I'm bringing to 3D. It could just be me manifesting my dreams in the right now, manifesting my wants and desires in the right now. But for the longest, sit there, sometimes I would just break out laughing and he would get mad, like, man, shut the fuck up and listen. And so there is a part of these dreams where you want to be lucid just to remember, just to recall. And I know a while back, Kamari, me and you were going over the supplements for dreams. And what a lot of people don't know is a lot of these supplements you take during the day to increase your memory, like ginkgo biloba, nootropics, whatever they call them, nootropics. A lot of these you can take before you go to sleep to be lucid in the dream and to have recall, because they're designed to increase your memory. So you want to take
skate liver. What's it called, babe? Skate liver fish oil. Take that, nigga. Take that right before you go to sleep.
That's a good one. I'm gonna try it out.
Skate liver fish oil. That hoe is powerful.
Over the weekend, Friday, I went to a herb shop and I got me some mugwort, some anise. I got a new one called Sagrada Cascara, something like that. But I got those just to increase my the deepness that I go into the dream, because I want to bring it back. And actually, what I don't know is, because it's my first time trying this combination, I don't know if I used too much, too little. I can't say it had an immediate impact, but you got to view your body as an alchemy lab. You got to. If you're not doing experiments with your body, that's the only thing that you really got. A lot of people don't realize that what you experience is happening just to you. Your brain is encased in a vacuum seal of darkness. When whatever you taste is relayed through a chemical, it goes from a physical sensation, it becomes a chemical response that's relayed to your brain, and your brain says it's either sweet or sour. All this is happening in your head, and that's why, like, people like Bobby that said the stars is in the sky is in your head, and that's the truth. So a lot of people, we take these physical bodies too seriously. Now, I do believe that you can take your body physically. I think it's Samuel Ayunweyor, he says, he calls it Jinn state. And you can take your physical body into the astral. You can take your physical body to Mars. I've tried his exercises. It hasn't worked yet for me. And if it did, I don't remember. But for right now, my body's my lab. And I'm going to experiment, whether it's taking some melatonin, some kind of ginkgo biloba and a sleeping pill and go to sleep. It's not because I don't dream. It's not because I'm not tired. I want to find a concoction that'll get me in that sweet space. But being lucid in a dream is where it's at.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you're not doing, I know a lot of people that can decode movies but don't remember dreams. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
All that is just to give you clues for when you wake up and you say, oh, I get it. I know why there was a ping pong ball in my dream. So it's just that level. It's just that level of lucidity that you want to get to, and not so much that you bring your ego and you control it, but you kind of want to. I look at it like I'm in a movie. A lot of my dreams begin in a movie theater, and I'm sitting in the movie theater by myself, and I'm watching a movie, and you kind of got to let it play out. And at some point, you'll find that you're no longer observing the movie; you're in the movie, you know. And so it's just so little that we know, and I think that a lot of the movements now, like veganism, I'm not knocking it. I'm not. I was a vegan for 2 years myself, and this was in the late 90s, early 2000, when nobody was talking about veganism that I knew of. I was a vegan, and I transitioned both ways. All of it is cool. If it works for you, that's all that matter. But you don't want anything that brings you too heavily into this physical, because you'll miss it. And that's what happens a lot. And when you go to that dream, you kind of want just to flow to you. And when you wake up, whether you write it down or you just got a good recall and just play it over and over. That's why, and I'm gonna wrap it up at this. Whenever I have a dream that I recall, I decode it 3 different ways: positive in my favor, negative, and then neutral. And so the positive has to be totally different from the negative, and the neutral it was just a dream, and this is what I saw. I do that because I don't want to get locked into, if my mom is telling me something, that was my mom and I got to do it. No. In this instance, my mom was just a symbol. That symbol was relaying to me these facts. I was just on Facebook the other day. There's a Bible verse. It's in Isaiah. I think it's Isaiah 55:8 and 9, I think, where it says, God said, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Your ways are not my ways. And a lot of people interpretate that as an external God being above you. But your God is your subconscious mind. The reason why your thoughts aren't his thoughts, because you don't speak symbols no more.
Mm-hmm.
If you spoke symbols, your thoughts would be his thoughts, your ways would be his ways, and you would be your own God. And so I look at things like that, especially when I wake up. I don't get to take as many naps as I would like. I would love to take naps during the day and wake up and write down those dreams, but it's all about the symbols. It's all about the symbols and allowing those symbols to come to you, and not letting your ego interfere or interrupt with the symbols being relayed.
Facts. Yeah, man, this is a powerful share, man. We're gonna have to do as a family, we're gonna have to do like a dream thing, supplements you can take, or just even mind manipulation you can do. Like, I hear a lot of people, I don't dream. Nah, nigga, you better start saying I do dream. You better
Exactly.
Fake it till you make it, and make sure you are in that dream state. So powerful stuff, family. We here, man. Let me share this one thing that we got going on. Yes, at my Jeff, you right, that Mind Atomic Goal about go get blue pills, Mind Atomic Goal.
Yeah.
Try that Harataki. Try everything, man. Mushrooms, everything, man. Whatever y'all want to do, man. Shit, we're gonna go on and on, because I got the supplements. If y'all want to try them, for 10, 12 years now, been just trying everything.
Mhm.
Like Mike was saying, your body is the lab table. You better experiment and try everything. Even fasting. Fasting is powerful. You know what I'm saying? Just do everything you can do. You know what I'm saying? Just don't get the enjoyment out of it. Get that set energy in and try to, you know, burn up this ego that you have with different, what you call destruction patterns, or whatever they used to call it, the darkness. Go into the darkness and all of that shit. So yeah, man, powerful. Let me share this before we get on. Next week, man, we going in. We're gonna dive in for real. Oh, wait, how do I share? Okay. Next week, family, y'all make sure y'all are in attendance. Like, subscribe, and share the video, family. Like, subscribe, and share. Let the people that need to receive this message receive it by liking, subscribing, and sharing. You don't got no money, you don't need to put into the collection plate. All you got to do is like the video and share it. That's it. Simple methods. Simple methods to change this whole thing. Next week, though, family, right here. We got
Oh yes.
Will Caprove, the magician.
Mm-hmm.
He on now listening, I think, or he was on. Well, he didn't chat, but you know he on now. He's ready to dive in, man. We're gonna talk about the spirit realm and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go in depth.
I fuck
So,
with Will.
Will coming in
good
strong. Then we coming back with the guide, the family, Rogue Titan. You know what I'm saying? The week after that. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a powerful, powerful time. Make sure y'all like and share these videos, family. We diving into some singularity shit with the Rogue. You know how he get down, Mike. So it's going to be some cosmic stuff.
Actually, me and the Rogue Titan, we do the talk show.
Yes.
Natural order of everything. We've been doing it. Well, Gene Butler and the Rogue Titan, Shannon Jeffries, they had the natural order of everything before I was invited on as a regular member. But I've been on there for about a year and a half now, and natural order of everything on talk show, and we go in on a number of different topics. Anybody's welcome. You've been on there before. Anybody's welcome. It's an open format. We might have a topic, but we go with the flow. But Shannon is definitely on some next level. I rocks with him. It's been an honor and a privilege to the Rogue Titan to be a part of his journey. You know,
exactly. That's my dog, man. That boy be dropping that shit like it's supposed to be dropped, man. Everybody got their understanding, man. That's what it is. Everybody got their understanding. So shout out to him. Shout out to Gene, man, and Natural Order, everything for real. Y'all go whenever they do their next videos, man. You want to hear some truth? You want to hear some understanding? You want to hear some real light? Shit, you don't got Bobby, you don't got Panic no more. Y'all need to go fuck with them. Go fuck with Mike, Michael Bell, Rogue Titan, Gene Butler, Gene Jones, all these brothers on that's dropping this straight science. Alex and everybody. Alicia, everybody, man, the family, because that's what it is, man. People are not figuring this thing out. I love knowledge. I love everybody's understanding, and I can kind of, pick off of everybody's thing and just have my whole gourmet of food ready for me. You know what I'm saying? So I can dive deep into myself. So it's always a powerful thing. Damn. I wish I can share y'all thing, Mike. Natural Order, everything. Y'all know what it is.
Talkshoe.com.
Talkshoe.com. Just put in natural order of everything. Yes, family. Yes, and man, yeah. Till next week, man. We out of here, man. Y'all like and subscribe to Mook, D-Ray, Trav. Go follow Mike on Instagram. Man, make sure y'all do all of that. Anybody got anything else to plug before we get out of here?
Keep studying. Keep practicing.
That's right.
Don't just read it. Don't just watch these videos. Apply it to your life. Do the work. Don't just talk about it. Try it. Don't be scared of your own power, no matter how it comes. If it's a demon, if it's a bad dream, if somebody else is saying this and that, don't be scared of nothing. Try it. It's your power.
Yeah.
Exactly. Facts. Do the work, man. Do the work. Keep that thing pushing on, man. Until next time, family. We'll see y'all. Peace.
Peace.